So there I was, perusing LinkedIn.com, my favorite source of World of Warcraft entertainment and news, where I have a post from Liam Whitehead, head of partnerships at Method. And he claims we have a date for the next Race World First. On August 12th, we'll see Method once again competing 14 hours a day. Oh, wait. Sorry. In August, we'll see Method once again competing 14 hours a day for 2 weeks solid as they take down the Venomous Abyss, and we could not be more excited. Okay, so we were talking last week about how we hadn't had news for a date. Is this real? Because all the speculation I saw for patch dates from Turbulent Timeways and whatever was speculating that it was going to be like August 18th or August 19th for Europe, and August 11th was going to be the patch coming out. Squishy, we need the inside scoop. Chop chop.
Fuck if I know, dude. Dude, I mean, he had edited this. We didn't even put up the third one. He edited it again after.
He edited it again.
Yeah, put a third one up there. Yeah. I thought that's where the bit was going, and they just didn't do it.
Oh, dude, I didn't even see the third one. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. All I saw was the first one, and I didn't know he edited it.
Redo the intro. Roll it. Run it back.
No, I'm not redoing the intro. This is the intro that we got.
That's the intro. We don't redo here.
Yeah. I'm not redoing the intro. This is the intro. Okay, so did he actually just did he leak the date? Could he have leaked the wrong date? Is also something that I have to consider here. Because I don't know
I feel like the post is too stupid for it to be fake. Like if you were like faking it, or if it was like, I don't know, this is just way too stupid to the fact that you're posting it on LinkedIn. And like I don't even get why is this even posted on LinkedIn? Like I have no idea. It's just way too stupid to be fake.
It's
okay.
It's interesting though, because it's less. If the raid is on the 12th, that means that the patch is the week beforehand, which is the 5th, which means it's only 7 weeks since 1207.
Well, this is my most reliable source of definitely not leaked information. Yeah, Mr. GM's Mr. GM's YouTube or Mr. GM's Twitter, of course. He's my most reliable source for definitely not leaked information, where it's purely speculative. And he said it was going to be the 11th and the 18th, but. I mean, I guess it could have been wrong. It could have been 7 weeks, like you said. Would it make sense? It could make sense. They could try to push it up another week to try to get it as far away from BlizzCon as possible. I think that's something. I don't know if your guys' guilds are worrying about this, but we have a decent amount of people who are going to BlizzCon, and our announcements channel or our attendance channel is filled with. Yep, I'm out this week.
Yep.
Am I missing something? Why? They're the same day, right? Mr. GM and this guy? Or are you saying they're a week apart?
No. This guy claimed that the raid is opening on the 11th. Mr. GM claimed that the patch is dropping on the 11th.
Yeah, 11th is NA. Oh, I see what you mean.
No, this guy is claiming that the raid.
You're saying Liam is saying a week earlier, but my point is maybe he's just saying the patch day, because I mean you do start playing 14 hours a day, right?
Do you the first week of the patch?
As you try to take down the Venomous Abyss. I don't think that's what he's saying, but it could be in theory. Sure.
I don't know. I guess to me, I didn't really look that hard into it. Like the patch is coming out around that day.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could just be completely wrong, and it's actually after BlizzCon, which would be the godsend for all raiding guilds out there, I think.
Wait, what day is BlizzCon?
September 12th?
12th?
Yeah.
Wait, that's sick. That's kind of close.
Yeah, September 12th.
Yeah, and then Growl's Guild, no one's going to BlizzCon, so they're going to shoot up the ranks.
Oh my god.
Yep.
But yeah, no, it's unclear as to what the deal is, but that is some funny shit. It's been a while since we've had somebody just leak a date. I don't even know if this is true. It's one of those things that sometimes I have insider information as to whether or not stuff is true, but whenever I don't and this guy is leaking shit, I'm like, oh, this is really funny.
It is very funny. Because it's plausible, but if Kettle's put on the date, it's entirely plausible that is the day, because that's the date everybody thought it was going to be anyways.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I assumed that Mr. GM's speculation made sense because of the Turbulent Timeways. It's the 8-week cadence. It's kind of what they've been going for a while. But I guess it does make sense if they would change it to try to bring it forward a week because of BlizzCon. That does make sense. So I could see it going either way. But yeah, leaking the patch date on LinkedIn is funny shit, regardless, I think.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. Okay, so this week, Well, for the viewers, they already see the runtime of this episode, but I would not be shocked if we have a very long episode, because this week we have had insane amounts of stuff happen, from very polarizing and definitely not hotly debated 12.1 news. We also had the 12.0.7 Sporefall Raid came out, where we, as a group, the Bench Collective, got world third on Rotmeyer. Yep, a pug beat us as well.
Oh.
Yeah, we got world third.
Yeah,
on
apparently
Rotmeyer.
a pug that wasn't, because they don't show up on the guild ranks or whatever.
Yeah,
it was just a pug with like Zorthus and like a bunch of good people in it. I think.
Gotcha.
Yeah, some Hall of Fame pug, but yeah, that and then Liquid.
So I'm a top 5 raider now.
One shot the boss. Okay, congratulations, Growl.
Yep, I worked really hard. Just improving my game day by day. You guys can do it too.
But yeah, that guy came out, and that boss is an absolute loot pinata. Is there a better way of describing that? Like, I feel like that guy is actually just completely free loot.
Bro, it was harder for our main guild than it was for the pug, because our main guild is just the biggest like padding monkeys of all time. So we actually took like 5 or 6 pulls because everyone was just blowing up the ads instantaneously when they spawn. So it's like such a troll level of difficulty where the mechanics are very simple, but you have to do the mechanics. Like you can't just be a race to blow up the ads. Like normally when ads spawn, it's like either A, you have to focus them and kill them, or B, they're just kind of like incidental cleave and you don't care, but patters will kill them anyway. But these are like actually, if you're blasting AoE, they just blow up in bad spots and wipe you. And so yeah, this is I mean the fight's okay. I don't know, it's whatever. I don't really have much to say about it other than it was a very trolly level of difficulty.
Yeah, I think the fight's fine.
I thought it was actually pretty good. Mechanically, very easy. I think that's okay. I think the only thing comes from the damage check, right? Like this fight is only the damage check, and pugs are failing the damage check, which I find hilarious.
I feel like this is one of the, like, how long did it take for Chimeras to be pugged on Mythic, right? I feel like this guy's way easier than pugging Chimeras on Mythic.
Yeah, but that was also a gear diff, right? Like, part of the thing about this guy is he came so late in the patch that besides the gear that he drops, everyone who's trying to pug Mythic is probably close to full bis, right? So I think that like Chimeras is incredibly easy to pug now when everyone has gear.
I still maintain that this fight is Dragon's level. People are flaming me for that. I think it's Dragon's level.
Dragon's level.
Like, you're saying Mythic Dragons when it
yeah, Mythic Dragons.
Dragons right now?
Right now.
Dragons right now is pretty easy.
I think Dragons is tougher. Easier?
You think so?
No,
I said Dragons Paladins. I will concede that it's probably not Paladins level.
Probably not Paladins.
Maybe the DPS check is a little bit tighter on this boss just because you don't outgear it so badly, but I feel like Dragons has way more mechanics and things that you have to consider, no? Like, you can, you have like the breaths and you have to soak the orbs and like the tank swaps and like not keep, I don't know, I feel like there's a lot to do on Dragons.
It's possible.
This. I think it's in between, right? Like, I think it's harder than Voracious or Salad Bar, but easier than Dragons is probably where I'd put it. Also easier than Chimera. Well, Chimeras is another dumb level of difficulty where the only thing that's hard about the fight is getting the kicks.
Yeah.
I think this fight, I think it's about the right level of difficulty for a fight that came out in 12.0.7, super late into the patch, and they're doing this thing with Flex Raid. I feel like this is the right difficulty. I don't think that they needed to make it too hard. I think it's completely fine for it to be like this loot pinata. But it did launch with something that was a little bit weird, where you are allowed to enter an instance multiple times and commit multiple bonus rolls to this, to the point where people were questioning whether or not it was intended, but nobody really ever stopped to think, hey, is this an exploit? And stopped killing it. Instead, everybody realized that you could bonus roll it multiple times. Then they go, yeah, this got to be intended. And they get back in there and bonus roll it. I was like,
oh, really? I thought it was, at least from, maybe it was just because I was streaming that day, and so it was kind of like more implied, but it was definitely discussed or wondered or like debated whether or not it was an exploit or whether or not you should do it, which I think is like kind of ridiculous to have something that like that common and easy to do, and then to be sitting there wondering that if it's an exploit or that if you get in trouble for using it. Like, I think it's
killed Ivus many a times, and all you did was you zoned out of Darnassus or whatever that was, and then go back into Darnassus, and you can kill him again and get loot from him again.
it's been clearly established though that world bosses are not supposed to give loot more than once a week.
I mean, Mythic, you're not supposed to be able to kill Mythic bosses more than once a week either.
But it's
Like,
a new
that's-
difficulty. It's Mythic Flex.
No,
It's not
this very
technically
clearly
Mythic.
says Mythic Flex. So like to me, I think Blizzard is going to give leniency on this, whether or not it was intended,
Sure.
because the rule has not been established yet.
Right. Yeah.
You can't punish people for a rule that has not been established yet. There will almost certainly be a rule established at this point.
Yeah. And they
It's,
come
the
out,
dorky rule.
They came out and said that the rule is that you're fine to bonus roll this, like whatever. Like, and I actually think that that's like pretty reasonable. I don't even mind how they had this set up. It was very funny to me though that it was just like immediately know that you could bonus. How the fuck would you know that, by the way, that you could zone back in there and bonus roll it multiple times? Like, that is ridiculous that people knew that. But yeah,
Was this like the qualified immunity of the WoW player? It's just like it's not established, so that we're not going to get in trouble.
there's no law for this, so we're allowed to do whatever we want. Oh, okay, dude. Other things that got announced this week. Blizzard finally showcased the 1% Umbral Champion mount, and this thing is fucking heat.
God.
This is like, I always called the 1% title for Mythic Plus players like their cutting edge equivalent. Whenever I talk about it in YouTube videos that I make or whatever, I call it like the Mythic Plus equivalent of cutting edge. And this mount, it is the cutting edge equivalent for Mythic Plus. It is actually the Lura mount, except somehow it's a way cooler color scheme too. The red and black, I think, is fire. I think this thing is so cool.
When I heard, sorry, you can go ahead.
I was gonna say I love this mount because the colors are actually blended correctly, and it doesn't look like it's just really gaudy by having a yellow and blue just random spots.
Bellerin just looks like that though.
Yeah, I know. I hate it. This looks great.
Okay. That's what
Yeah, when I heard it was going to be a recolor of the Mythic Raid mount, I thought, damn, what a good idea. Because although it might feel a little cheap or weird at first, it's a recolor. Number one, it just looks cooler. And number two, it establishes a nice precedent where it's like, okay, this is the top level of rating. There's the top level of Mythic Plus. There's sort of like an equivalent and different color reward for both. Like, I sort of see them as side by side rather than this is just a recolor. Like, yeah, technically it's a recolor right now, but I think going forward, it's like, okay, if they continue this pattern, which I think they should, I think that's really, really cool. And I think, I don't know, so right now the 1% title is about 2 full key levels below the 0.1% title. I kind of anticipated that I was going to get a little bit closer. I think my prediction was it was going to be like 1.5 key levels off. So it's jumped up some amount. I wonder how tight it'll get now that we know sort of the end date of the season. If we're going to see, now that we have the mount announced and the idea of the date announced, if we're going to see people start making a push for trying to get this.
It's 240 points, it looks like.
Yeah, so 1 key level is 120 points.
Yeah, okay. So it's like it's right at two full key
Yeah,
levels.
it's almost exactly 2 key levels difference between that and title.
I think that this is like, I mean, with how many characters, it's over 10,000 characters on NA right now, which is a lot. I think with the amount of characters that it is, the title can only the 1% title can only reasonably go so high. And I think that the nice part about the 1% title is how available it is to be pugged, right? Where the 0.1% stuff, especially with how resilient keys work and all that kind of situation, it makes it really hard to just be a puggable achievement. But I think that what's nice about the 1% stuff is it's always going to be a puggable achievement by pretty much every single specialization, pretty much every single class, no exceptions. And I think that that's like a really big deal. Super cool.
And to be clear, we're not saying it's easy to pug.
No,
These are definitely challenging level keys. We just mean that it's possible. There are groups there. Whereas in order to pug title, you're looking at essentially 22s or possibly 23s at the end of the season, which are extremely limited when it comes to group finder.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be. I wouldn't be shocked if like the 0.1% title is like mostly 23s. I don't think it's going to get over the hump to 23 resilient because I think that there's going to be a couple of keys holding that back. But I wouldn't be shocked if it's like 3 or 4 potentially 23s that need to be done for the 0.1% title because we're getting a bit more power with the stupid Omnium Folio thing. Like, what is it, in like 2 weeks we get 3% from the Omnium Folio? Like, this first one was like an absolute nothing burger, but I think there's one in a couple of weeks that's actually not a 0 amount of power.
Yeah, either way, it's really cool. When I heard this was
I love
what
it,
the mount
yeah.
was gonna be, I'm just like, damn, this is pretty fucking cool.
Squishy, you had was it a tweet that you made about
Oh my God.
gating gear or something?
Or
Or gating loot or mounts or something, I think is what it was.
Yeah. I mean, you can bring it up if you want.
You agitated people.
Oh, it was slightly rage bait. I know it was, but I also don't think the feeling is like that wrong. You have a top 1% mount in Gladiator. You have a top 1% mount in now this. Where's the the exclusive? And when I say exclusive, the mount that you cannot get past the season for raid
Your issue is that the raid mount doesn't go away, right?
doesn't go away.
Do you? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I've always found this to be kind of
one,
this
it
weird
lasts
thing.
past the season. 2, it's still available past the entire expansion, right? Like any of it. Like, do I particularly care? No, I'm not that petty, and like I don't attribute my worth to a mount in a video game. But
Yeah.
apparently, a lot of people do. But I think it's pointing out the inconsistency in that PvP and Mythic Plus have an exclusive mount, and Raid does not.
I think for me, it's like, Raid does sometimes. AOTC mounts tend to be pretty exclusive.
That's funny. That is true.
That's
Actually,
true.
AOTC mounts are exclusive.
End of the expansion, though, only.
I mean,
Are they? I actually have no
Yes.
idea how that
Yes,
stuff
they're
works.
end of the expansion only.
I mean, they don't do AOTC
You're not wrong. That
mounts
is a good
for
point.
random patches, but for me, it's like I'm of two thoughts. Like, I'm kind of sad that I couldn't get the challenge mode gear from Mista Pandaria, the Druid set, because I think it looks fucking sick. But the reason I couldn't get it wasn't because of like lack of trying. It's just because I literally started the game late, and that kind of sucks. And like, so that feeling kind of sucks. But at the same time, I think the prestige and the exclusivity is like cool. So it's like, I think there's some give and take. I think it really just depends on how Blizzard wants to design the game. I do think that they're being in, it not being the same for all 3 game modes is a bit weird to me, where it's not this exclusive thing. I think that to me is a bit strange more than anything.
I agree with that. Like, it's just odd, but like I'm not complaining. But
Hot take, we don't need any of them. FOMO is garbage.
I mean, you live your truth, guy in the Twitter
I
comments.
think you will see this mount out there, and this is exactly what we've been talking about. Of people are gonna be like, "Damn, how do I get that?" And then they're gonna realize they can't.
Dude, I'm telling you, if this mount was a cat mount, 100% of the time I'm riding it until the end of time.
If it was a cat mount,
Dude, I only use travel form and I only use cat mounts.
I respect it. Yeah, I mean, I'm a believer in exclusivity. I think that especially with the wealth of things that WoW offers, like you don't have the Druid sets and they're cool, but you also probably have a lot of cool things and titles that you've earned that you're proud of as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that allowing people to go back and just get things kind of dilutes their value, but I think that WoW is trending towards a not liking that place and bringing back as much stuff as possible. So I think I wouldn't be surprised if instead of making the mythic one obtainable, they find a way to give everybody the M plus mounts or maybe even the Glad mounts, which that's not a hill I would die on to really care about, but I generally really like the exclusivity and I think it's cool.
I think my memories are more important to me than the shrouded hero title that I wear, even though it's like the rarest title on my account. I think it's like the memories of like what the accomplishments and the achievements mean to me more so than the tangible things in game. But at the same time, I like exclusive shit. Like, I like cool and exclusive stuff. And I think that looking at other people's cool and exclusive stuff, especially when I was very new to the game, pushed me to want to raid and progress at a higher level, because I knew that then that would open up the access and the opportunity to have cool shit. Like, that's just like the nature of a WoW player. I would say I want to ego people, but it's kind of like that. Yeah, I want to be able to ego people a little bit and have cool shit over them. And the process of doing that involves killing bosses earlier than them or something.
I do think there's a time limitation on that. I think at some point you should be able to get this again. When or how, that's a different question. But I do think that for an equivalent achievement, whether that's 1% in a future season or God knows what. Something like that. 1% of future season, you should have the option of possibly getting this mount again.
What's the issue with
So if
the raid ones then? Because the raid ones are like really low, like 1% drop rate, I believe, is what they changed them to. After
because that is not a nature of. To me, these things are, like you said, ego. They are a show of skill. And running it, you know, the way you're describing it, you like having something to show for your efforts. If they were to come out and say you get 1% in a future season, that is still a show of skill. You are still top 1% in a season.
Oh.
If, let's say, for example, in future seasons, you could get this mount at a 0.1% drop rate from any end of Mythic Plus dungeon, that mount no longer is a feature of skill. That is now a method of a hybrid of time and skill.
You're saying it's like it works if it worked as the way that the vicious saddles work now, where for the Mythic Plus ones that were added, where if you get a current cutting edge, then you get a token and you can then go buy any old CE mount.
Correct. To me, it needs to be of equivalent value achievement. I think there's a time frame. It doesn't even have to next season. Like if it's season 3 onwards. So people could have 2 seasons of this cool ass mount to be like, I got that. But even past that, in season 3 onwards, anybody who has this mount, has at least gotten one top 1%.
I mean, that eliminates the FOMO and still keeps it prestigious. And I think that
Correct.
Almost is like it's a good solution, I think, for both.
Because what you're going to get is the comments they're already there. It's, I hate FOMO. We can't have ego if you have FOMO. But I think what is really good and what is Growl's saying is if there's a mount and you go, wow, Tettles, that is a really sick mount. How did you get it? And you look it up and it's not even available anymore. You go, well, that sucks. Versus, oh, that mount is, I need to get 1% in a Mythic Plus season. You go, all right, I got to work my ass off if I really want this.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a way better situation.
I got all the gold WAD CMs because I was so pissed that I didn't get them mop because I wasn't playing the game. Like I
think that when you bring the mounts back in any capacity, I think it diminishes the value. Like Tettles is talking about the idea of egoing people and, oh, I'm on my mount and I'm better than you. I think it's less so the egoing people and more just the concept in itself, the mount as an idea rather than the mount as having it. Yeah. And so you can use the phrase FOMO and it has such a bad connotation, like it's a terrible thing, but ultimately if you have FOMO and you really want something and then you get it, then it feels good, right? Then you're happy that you went through that and you accomplished that. And I think that having that in the back of your mind, knowing that, if I mess this up, I can just get them out in a year or whatever, I think that, again, sort of goes to diminish the value of what it is for. Like, I'm all for people who collect things in WoW, and I think that that's really cool. But at the same time, I don't see why that has to encroach on any other parts of the game, right? Like, just because you want to collect things doesn't mean you can just collect anything and you get any prestigious thing, right? Like, there are plenty of other things to collect and accomplish, and I don't think they necessarily need to create pathways for collectors to get things that are in the game to be prestigious, if that makes sense.
I do at the same time think it's like... So, like, the argument against the FOMO stuff... I think it's cool. I actually do think it's like really cool to care and want prestigious things, right? But like I think that like ultimately Blizzard is responsible for creating rewards, and I think that that's like that's the key word that they use is rewards for people. And if there's not some level of exclusivity, it's not rewarding. If you just like logged in and you bought gear off a vendor, that it's no longer a reward, right? It's just a thing. And it's kind
correct.
Of
and I think when it comes to rewards and collections, at some point you can say, oh, it's letting anyone get what you want, but it's also just some degree of laziness. Like, okay, why isn't there more cool things for the collector to collect, right? Why do we have to because essentially what Squishy is saying, right, is you're taking two things that have absolutely no equivalence of, oh, I did this dungeon 100 times and I got them out, versus, oh, I was the 1% ranked player in the season. Like, why can't there just be another cool mount that someone gets that's a rare drop from old content, right? It almost feels like the only reason that we bring it back is to placate the people that are whining and also be lazy and not make more content. Like, to me, I'm just a firm believer in, like, if you're going to have something prestigious, then leave it be prestigious and not have this this fail-safe switch or idea that okay, now it'll come back later, because at some point, that diminishes the value when it just makes it not prestigious, right? Like, oh, it's prestigious, but you have a date on it, and now your prestige expires, and now anyone can have this. Like, it's just a little ridiculous to me, I think.
I mean, it's why Invincible, I'm sure whenever people killed Lich King whenever it was current, that mount was prestigious, and now it is 2026, and everybody farmed Invincible during the collector's bounty, whoever wanted it, and they got it. And it's not even, but like, I bet if you were riding around on Invincible even during Cataclysm, I'm sure it was like, whenever Cataclysm was current, everybody was like, wow, that cool mount.
Well,
right?
I think there's something to be said that, oh, I was here way back then and I have this to show for it. I think it's okay, the idea to go back and farm stuff. I think I might be okay with the compromise of maybe like somehow, if you earned that thing for the achievement when it was relevant, it's somehow marked that way. Like, let's say if you have a mount that you earned when it was relevant, it has like a gold border on it, and then when you have it on, people can see, oh, this is a legit mount, versus like, oh, he just got this mount later because he thinks it looks cool.
I mean, it's the conversation about prestige versus like making something available, which Blizzard does create. Okay, I will say the counterpoints is like there's like replayability, and Blizzard, by adding things like transmog and mount farming, they opened up like a new avenue of the way that some people play the game, like the collectors, right? So I mean, there's definitely some give and take.
We have this chat every so often.
I was gonna say there's a lot of changes that are going on.
I think the last
time we had an hour-long talk about prestige versus honor and rewards and stuff. We'll yap about this another day.
I'm pretty sure the last time we had this conversation was about the collector's bounty, whatever that shit was. You guys remember that?
Oh my god.
Gatekeeping the rare mounts.
Yeah, whatever. All right. Last thing that we have before we talk about an insane 12.1 news dump. Fellowship, their newest season 3. I don't know exactly what number they're numbering this one, but season 3 is what I'm calling it. Has dropped today, and people are sitting in the queue for it. But one of the things that they are changing is how their matchmaking system works. So Fellowship has matchmaking up even for some of the highest level content. It used to not have matchmaking for Eternals, but that eventually got it added in. But one of the things that was always going to be a bit challenging was not making queue times too long. And so now Fellowship is experimenting with something called Odd Comp. Now, Squishy, you brought this post today.
Yes.
What are they doing?
So basically, you can queue into you can opt in to non-Trinity compositions. They have here 1 tank, 3 healers, only DPS, or 2 tanks and 2 DPS. So each of these is missing something. So, but in each of these compositions, they give you buffs based on what you're missing. So, for example, in the 4 DPS comp, you have no tank, no healer. Enemies have 20% more health. Players deal 15% reduced damage. Enemies have 35% reduced power. And then players have basically lifesteal, take reduced damage, and your defensive reduces your threat in case you need to ping pong mobs around.
Insane.
Stuff like that.
It's very, very weird. I will be perfectly honest. There was a time when we had a conversation about tanks, and me and Tettles were discussing the idea of how do we get more people to play tanks, and Squishy brought up the idea of trying to envision a world where there is no Holy Trinity. And I'll be perfectly honest, I thought he was dumb, and I'm just like, there's no way this would work. And I think that was just me not fully thinking through the idea or understanding, because this is really, really interesting and cool, right? Like, this is essentially, okay, how do we capture Mythic Plus, or the idea of running dungeons with your friends in like a competitive scaling environment without a strict role requirement? And their cooks, I mean, we won't go into everything in detail, but their cooks are like very, very interesting for like, okay, if you have 2 tanks and 2 DPS in your group, how, like, what are the rules, right? Like, or you have multiple healers in your group, what are the rules? It's just so, I feel like the fact that Fellowship cooked up a standalone M+ game and now is cooking this up is very, very interesting. And unfortunately, I heard we're recording this on the day that it came out, and there were server problems and I had stuff going on, so I haven't been able to check it out today, but I hope to stream at least a little bit of it next week, assuming that I can get that in before the dungeons for M+ come up on the PTR.
I think that this is really cool. I do think it opens up imbalances, but I'm not so certain how much it matters for a game like Fellowship specifically, right? Where ARPGs are inherently designed to kind of be imbalanced, but I think that one of the big things, especially with ARPGs, or I think they call themselves a MODA, but like I feel like Fellowship is so much an ARPG, but like I think that one of the things about ARPGs that is nice is changing up the game from season to season. And sure, it might be fucking broken that hallowed guard, 1 tank and 3 healers, and you play 3 vigors or something in your composition. And that's just the most broken setup for one season. And then eventually Fellowship is like, okay, maybe Odd Comp didn't work out, and they remove it for the next season. But like, I think that that's what's good about ARPGs, but specifically Fellowship, is that they're able to do crazy shit like this without, I don't say without repercussions, but it's like, very ARPG-esque.
I personally am most interested in the 4 DPS one. I think that's the one that is the most interesting to me.
Sure.
Partially because there's, especially on the DPS side, you are completely responsible for your own survivability in this one. There is no one to blame but you. And you are just going to keep taking chip damage, right? Like, if you fuck up and stand in a swirly, you can't yell at a healer to heal you. You need to keep doing damage to heal yourself back up. And that's only, assuming they tune this right, it's only going to go up slowly. So, like, I really like the idea of the 4 DPS one. The others I'm kind of like lukewarm on, and I don't necessarily care for. But the 4 DPS one, I think, is something that I would play because that seems like the type of thing that I would enjoy. Your life is solely in your hands.
I think that this Crimson
cool.
Vanguard one, 2 tanks, 2 DPS, this one I think is the one that has a tendency to be the most imbalanced, right?
I think so as well. That's basically just like 4 DPS with a tank.
I wonder how the community will receive this idea, because usually the way systems work is there's sort of an idea that this is the competitive mode, or this is the mode people care about, right? Like, for example, if you talk about WoW PvP, there's tons of different forms of PvP, but RBGs is a complete meme compared to Arenas, which has a world championship, right? And I see this sort of being a cool way to experience the game with your friends, but if you're a competitive-minded person, I think it will delve into one of the modes being the main mode that everybody cares about. And I wonder if you get a weird situation where, what if the best way to climb is to use 2 tanks, and then everyone's playing 2 tanks, and then the tank shortage is absolutely miserable because you need 2? Or maybe it fixes it because you have a co-tank. I don't know. It's just so interesting to think about this whole, this space of design that we've never really touched before, and thinking about how it could be applied to WoW as well.
This is why I think that Fellowship's a really good format for doing crazy shit like this, right? You think of Path of Exile, you think of Diablo. On their per season basis, they do insane shit, right? Where, they have different affixes, they have different, maps, and how their maps work is completely different. I would say they almost fundamentally change the game on a per season basis, and I think that this is kind of like the Fellowship equivalent to that, where I think it's okay if the 2 tank thing is like the most broken thing for people who are trying to push the absolute top of the ladder. Because I think at the same time, the 4 DPS one, if you end up like, say hypothetically, everybody turns on Holy Trinity queuing, if that allows people to get into groups faster, I think that that's of benefit to all players involved.
I think it's a win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find it hard to see the L there. Obviously, it does open up an avenue for imbalance, but I don't think it matters for a game like Fellowship like that.
I don't know that this would work in WoW. I think it'd be interesting to have a game mode, a specific like trial game mode, but it should not be mainline.
Well, I think there's more merit to it in WoW now more than ever, because previously there was some sort of progression path to work your way up to 10s or 12s, but now it's essentially easier than ever, and you could argue that it's not even really an achievement that most people care about, like even the more casual player base and people who aren't raiding, etc. So I think that because rewards essentially fall off of trees in M+, and they're buffing raid rewards as we're seeing now, I don't think it would be that crazy to try. The problem is, like, I feel like some bosses or trash packs or mechanics just wouldn't work, but I would also think that in Fellowship, and I haven't really tried it yet to see how it would work out.
interrupts. I mean, I just sat there and thought about interrupts for this Hallowed Guard one, where it's like, how the fuck do you have enough stops and kicks for?
Yeah, you have multiple healers, but there's no kicks.
Like, the fuck are they doing? They're 3 vigors and he's booking.
It's definitely interesting. Like, I'm glad that they're trying to move from a Trinity to a non-Trinity thing.
Yeah,
Because I do think that WoW is slowly becoming more and more frustrating over time, and maybe WoW can pull something from this. I don't know.
It was the squishy prophecy. He foresaw it.
I don't think. Yeah, I think that WoW, the expectation from the player base for WoW is very different than I think. I think that the WoW players would not be happy if Blizzard started to introduce something like this. But
Could it be like a weekly event? Like this week, you can queue
okay, so the problem,
like 5 DPS
the problem with
That
this
would
is
be
like
strange.
WoW Mythic Plus is not
for
queued.
rewards specifically. No, specifically for like let's I don't know.
I think
If
the
you-
problem there is you're shutting out people, right? So, for example, if you have a mode where it's all DPS, well, what if you're me and you only play healers? So now I just don't play. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there always has to be
Yeah,
a path for every. You know what I mean? Like, imagine if WoW they just created no healer dungeons and everyone decides it's the greatest format, and now every single person who plays healer spec is now just they don't even get to play anymore.
I think that the nice thing with Fellowship is how their matchmaking works specifically for it, right? Like, and I just like don't like, you know, WoW's matchmaking is so different than Fellowship's. That's why I stop and it gives me pause and I'm like, I don't think it would work for WoW. Also, once you start talking about anything that starts cutting tanks from groups, I think anything that gets fewer people to play tanks, even if it's like a short-term thing, is, in my opinion, problematic. We need more tanks, not fewer. We don't need a way to alleviate people from playing tank. We need more people to play tank.
Right. It's just sort of another game mode. You know, let's say us three
Yeah.
are playing with our tank buddy, and then our tank has to go to bed, and then it's like, hey, let's just cue this meme mode where we just get to play with no tank for a couple of matches until
Yeah.
you go to bed or whatever. Like, I think that's its place, but we'll see.
Yeah, cool. Really cool for Fellowship, though. I mean, I think that's fucking sick.
yep.
Okay, 12.1 stuff. Is it time?
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's it.
Do we want to start with the elephant in the room, the gear changes?
I think that's where we're gonna spend the most time.
I was shocked. Now after Squishy's prophecy, I cannot believe they're doing Myth 2. Like, I joked about it, but they're literally just putting in another. They created a system in the game in Midnight where everybody has access to myth items, and myth items grow off trees. And now they realize the problem of what they did. I mean, I hate to make fun of Blizzard because I think that there are genuinely a lot of smart people and developers that work there, but like,
Okay.
this just reminds me of like, if you have no idea what you're doing and no vision, and you just say, okay, everybody gets myth items, and then everyone's happy, and then you're like, okay, Myth 2 is out now, and it's just bro, what is this?
I think probably over 50% of our audience knows what is going on with next patch, but let's just explain for those who haven't been keeping up with the news for specifically this week. Okay, so brief summary of the changes. Bonus rolls are sticking around, where this patch, they had bonus rolls. If you haven't played out through the entirety of this patch, or this is like the first episode you're watching in a while, we basically had bonus rolls for things. Blizzard is going to keep these bonus rolls where you get guaranteed myth track pieces of gear. They're going to be available right away, but only as a pity currency from the vault. And then they're going to be available again starting week 8 of the patch. Raid rolls are being changed to only cost 1 coin per roll, and so that's something that's going to happen. This kind of changes the texture of how are you going to be taking your vault. This is going to have to be a very long discussion that we're going to have in a second. But the other changes are raid rewards are going to be buffed in the vault, where LFR through heroic will give 1 track higher than boss drops. Like, if you full clear heroic, you're going to be getting myth 1 out of 6 loot. That is to keep it of equivalent difficulty to, say, doing 10s, where you're getting myth 1 out of 6 loot. Where you're killing mythic bosses, though, that's not going to give you 1 track higher. Instead, mythic bosses on the mythic vault will then drop myth 6 out of 6, giving you an insane crest discount, basically capping you at the very top of the track. And then one of the biggest changes and points of contention is very rare items in the final 2 bosses are going to drop the equivalent of myth 9 out of 6 loot. There's also a couple of additional changes where catalyst items will maintain secondary stats and cantrip effects whenever they're catalyzed, which changes gear to where pants are no longer pants because they're getting catalyzed into specific stats, but instead there are cantrip items that are off the final boss of the raid for Cutting Edge, where it has cantrip items. And so say you have a helmet, now you have a helmet with a cantrip effect, and it has very specific stats on it. So the items that you're going to want to catalyze are going to be a little bit different. And then Ascendant Venom Stones, where, again, if you didn't play this patch, basically there are specific pieces of gear that I believe it happened on like week 12 of this patch or something like that, week 8 maybe, where you were able to upgrade necklaces, or not necklaces, you were able to upgrade trinkets in your weapon to, I don't know, 9 out of 6 equivalent, I think, is actually what it ended up being. Now you're going to be able to upgrade trinkets, weapon, and a necklace to 9 out of 6 equivalent. And yeah, that's basically all that's going down with that. So there are massive changes in regards to the gearing. Where do we want to start? Do we want to start with the raid reward stuff? Because I think that was the one that Grau was almost jumping in the deep end on.
Go for it. Grau, go ahead.
Yeah, we identified that the gearing system has changed to sort of give people what they want, but ended up being lopsided and the rewards don't really make sense. Most importantly, that heroic rating, which I think earning AOTC is something that a lot of people do, and it's sort of most people's check mark, I would say. Like, oh, get, all 12s or KSM or whatever and get AOTC, and that's like, playing through the season for them. And the gearing from raids was just so abysmal, and so they essentially buffed heroic raid so that you're getting myth track from the vault. But now, then what the hell are you doing mythic raid when you just get the same vault as heroic? So now they buffed the mythic loot by a lot. They essentially made it so all the raid that drops from mythic raid is maxed out, so it's saving you a ton of crests.
Yes.
And all of the loot from the vault in Mythic saves you a bunch of crests and is maxed out. And the last 2 bosses are dropping more, like, higher than Myth, like stuff that you can't even upgrade to. So we're essentially now have devolved all the way back to square one, where M+ gearing is behind and you feel obligated to raid Mythic if you want to push high keys.
Yeah. Gearing is, I mean, first of all, we're not going to do ourselves any favors by saying that raid rewards are underbuffed and then they actually buff raid rewards, right? Right, Tuttles? Content creators have the...
Look, it's not my fault. I just work here.
But yes, I think they clearly identified a problem, which is raid rewards were underwhelming. They have now theoretically solved that problem.
I
feel like they probably introduced...
I would have gone a different direction.
This is an insane psychological study. The fact that they essentially invalidated myth track gear by making it fall off of trees. But the thing is, if they would have rewinded, everyone would have been even angrier because you were giving them something that they didn't have before, and then they're taking it away. So now they have to make a new track in order to make things back how they are. Because this isn't some new system or new change, right? Where the raid gear is better than everything else and the cantrip effects are important. We're going back to where we were, but they can't do that because everyone's going to be mad. So now they have to phrase it as, oh yeah, we're just dividing by 0 here. So the Venom Forged is 9 of 6. Just like, what?
Yeah. Okay, so I will say, raid gear felt terrible. Felt terrible for a long time. I would say basically since Dragonflight Season 1. That's probably the last time that I felt like raid gear was pretty good. But maybe even Shadowlands. It may not have even been Dragonflight Season 1. And I felt like I just remember the hunter in my guild like screaming and calling his mom on the phone whenever he got the bow off of Razageth. That was the last time anything notable has happened with loot in this game for me, right? Was Razageth bow. And so that's like the last thing I even remember. And so like raid loot has felt underwhelming for a while. And Mythic Plus loot has been imbalanced for a hot minute compared to raid loot, where the kind of the narrative has been like, to be able to participate in Mythic Plus in any meaningful way, you actually need to be able to raid, and raid at a fairly competitive level to be of similar power to raiders. Now, what's the power level that it's expected is kind of up for debate. But from Mythic Plus players, anything that's less than equal power is always going to be viewed as problematic, right? Like, basically, Mythic Plus players believe that the 0.1% title, in some capacity, should be able to be obtained basically just by doing Mythic Plus. And you shouldn't need to raid. Now, I did some number crunching on this. If you were like full cutting edge, like if you're a full cutting edge raider and you were wearing all of the Venom Forge pieces, you were going to be about 4 item levels higher. Now, that is assuming that the Ascendant Void Core BS, whatever they're actually called now, Ascendant Venom Stones are not out. So there's going to be a 4 item level advantage if you're killing Ulatak and the Bargain Crown compared to people who are capped out on Myth Track gear. But whenever the Venom Stones come into play, it's probably going to be about 2.5 item levels is about the number I was looking at, because some of this gear, I think it's unlikely that you wear both of the trinkets off of Ulatek and the Bargain Crown, although possible, it's unlikely, just because of how trinkets end up working. And then there's like a necklace, and that's like an overlapping slot. And so there's a weapon, and that's an overlapping slot with the Ascendant Venom Stones. So I wouldn't be shocked if it's about a 2.5 item level advantage, where players who are trying to go for the 0.1% title, just very candidly, they're going to be at a disadvantage. But Blizzard was trying to tackle something that is kind of important, where the raid does not feel super rewarding. I do think it's a bit comical, though, to talk about what Growl said, that the way that they address it is by adding Myth Track 2. Like, what the fuck is that? The problems that I have actually with the gearing system, I actually think that the fact that Mythic Plus players feel like it's impossible for them to be able to compete on the highest level without raiding, and they are at, I would describe it as like not an insignificant disadvantage. It is only like 2.5% damage difference, but it just feels like shit. I think it's more about like feeling than it is about like actual power in a lot of instances. And I think that is a huge problem. But to me, it's like the gear track is, I think I would attribute the gear track to be the biggest problem here. I think profession gear is a major problem, and like, I think the vault is another problem, and I think the fire hose, I would describe it as fire hose loot that you get from Mythic Plus. That's the way I've seen it described by some of the people in the Titan Forge podcast Discord, and I think that is a perfect way of describing it. They describe the current Mythic Plus gearing system for hero track gear as fire hose loot, where the entire hero track was invalidated this tier, and I think that is unbelievable. Like how the entire hero track was invalidated, and Blizzard's solution is to give you Myth Track loot from the vault for clearing heroic. Like, that to me this seems like they're trying to address the correct problems. I would have done it in a very different direction, though.
Yeah, so to maybe articulate something in the way that I see it, because I see a lot of discussion about what do you need, right? Oh, the player base doesn't need this gear, or oh, it's only 2%, or oh wow, it's 3%, it's so much. It's important to realize that you are in competition with other people, right? And so for someone who's a primarily Mythic Plus player, you don't really have many things when you're looking at somebody in the applicants other than like their item level and their IO. So being on average 3 or 4 item levels below people, especially if you're like, already not rating, is going to feel really bad. Another thing is we're playing an RPG, right? So it's not a matter of do you need it, right? Like Liquid can kill the boss on week 1 of the patch or whatever, but we're playing an RPG, right? We want to sit here and do all of the things that our character can do to make it stronger to prepare for the event, right? And having this gear looming over our head that we can never get because we're not in a Mythic guild and we have to go through a literal job application process in order to try and get this gear leaves a really bad taste in a lot of people's mouth when it comes to, how they gear their character.
So this leads to the discussion that I think we were having a while back, which is play what you find fun. Where we were
Says the Raider.
Huh?
Says the Raider.
Just
Easy
the
to
person who's
say.
able to separate my gearing. Like, the 1% mod is cool. I want it. Am I going to go for it because it looks cool? Absolutely fucking not.
Wait, you're not?
No.
The problem is whenever you start being compared to your I think it's a little bit of fear mongering, but there is some truth to it, right? You see yourself getting compared to your peers, and especially whenever you're looking in an LFG window and you see somebody's 330. Okay, so I think the numbers are like 332 versus 328. If you see somebody's 332, you're taking them over somebody's 328. Like, they're just gonna.
There's no reason not to.
Yeah,
unless
exactly.
they're lower IO or you have some reason to, right?
Right. I think it is. In my opinion, it is purely an issue for people who are trying to push for the 0.1 percentile. Those are the people that are actually kind of getting fucked the most.
I do think there is the, like, stuff there. Like, it is unfair to the people who are pushing the cutting edge keys.
Yes.
But for the majority of people, that those few idle levels are not going to make a difference.
It is a problem for 0.9% of the players, in my opinion.
Not going to make a difference in what?
Whether or not they can accomplish something. Like, if you are only a Mythic Plus player, why the fuck does it matter what raiders are doing? Honest question.
Because you're playing a game and you want to make your guy stronger, but then the things that you need to get to make your guy stronger are gated behind something that requires a job application to do.
Okay. But again, if your only interest is Mythic Plus, why does that matter still?
Okay, I'm going to be honest. Just very candid. This may make me a little bit of a dick. There is an enhancement shaman that I was playing with in season 1 of the War Within, and I'm just gonna be completely honest. He wasn't doing that well damage. So what did we do? Did we wait for him to figure his shit out? No. We lobbed him for a dragon slaying raider. and we lobbed his Mythic Plus ass for a dragon slaying raider, and then that guy started immediately doing damage, and we're like, wow, this was the solution. And was it because that guy had 3 more item levels and had better trinkets and better optimized stats? Maybe. But I'm not 100% sure. But maybe. Like, realistically, it might have just been player diff, but that guy the guy that we got had more item levels and did a lot more damage, right? And it's like,
it's probably a little both, right?
It's probably a little both is the actual answer. And that is, I think, a very common thing to have happen, right? Where if your gear's a little bit worse and people start deep diving logs because you're doing competitive dungeons, right? I think that this is the key here. If you're doing competitive dungeons and people start deep diving logs of why are we depleting keys, and they see that your damage is a little bit behind the curve for what's expected, they're not going to accept, hey, I don't raid. They're going to be like, oh, you're out. Now, I will say something that's kind of annoying with this specifically is most people have raid mains and have Mythic Plus mains, and it's not uncommon for them to overlap, but it's not always the case too. And I was talking to a friend about, hey, now's your time to come back to raid, come back to the guild. And he was like, dude, I probably wouldn't even be playing what my Mythic Plus main is anyways. I think it's time for me to retire.
Yep. I mean, that's another annoying consequence. Like, I've been liking not needing to care about raid as much on my M plus guys. Yep. Now I'm feeling it a little bit because Litany is such an important trinket for dungeons that you need both on healers and augs. And so I'm really unlucky with my bonus rolls to the point where I'm literally in a raid right now trying to get a Litany. And yeah, it feels like crap to not to have things in the raid that you need to get, and you're just like weekly gated for a low chance to get it every week. And then it just, I don't know, I understand why they're doing it, but it definitely feels weird to now go back after being here. You know, it would be like if they were to take away resilient keys. I mean, I don't think they had a positive influence on the system, but now getting them and going back is going to make a lot of people unhappy, I think.
So the question comes down to, is there even a way to balance raid and Mythic Plus?
No.
I'm pretty sure the answer is no.
This is the fundamental issue, right? Like, Mythic Plus was getting close to actually being fairly balanced with raid, and it was still not perfect, but it was getting quite close. Almost at the expense of raid, though, right? Like,
well, that's the issue.
Yes.
If Mythic Plus is balanced to raid is useless because it takes more setup. You need 4 times as many people,
dude,
to accomplish the same thing.
Okay.
So they inherently cannot be balanced.
I was doing a video about Mythic Plus like recently, and I was watching back like footage of like when Legion like Mythic Plus was announced, and I was combing through like Asmongold videos back whenever he covered World of Warcraft and was not grifting for politics. And he was talking about this exact thing, and he was like, yeah, they said that Mythic Plus was going to be an in-game pillar that offered up gearing as an avenue for players to be able to play the game. And he goes, it's kind of weird because raiding has always throughout its entirety been the most like the way that you actually get loot, and a lot of it actually came from the fact that coordinating and getting 20 players in a raid every single week is actually a bit of an ask. And he was like, and it's not because Mythic Plus isn't hard enough because it's infinitely scaling, but he was like, the concept of getting 20 players, yeah, you're supposed to reward the people for getting 20 players together every single week. That's where the reward comes from. It doesn't come from the difficulty of the content. But now players, I think in the last 10 years or so, have changed dramatically with what's expected.
Realistically, I think the 9 of 6, as weird as this is, makes sense.
I agree.
Because if you think about it, most people get to the last boss on Mythic right now, and they're already BIS item level. You kill the last boss, and you're like, this loot doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
Maybe you swap out a trinket or something, but like you're BIS by the time you kill, the last boss of an expansion. And if something were to change, I think this is probably a good change for Raid, and Mythic Plus needs to catch up again. And they need to sort out.
No. Mythic Plus, I actually think that I would start by removing the Mythic Plus fire hose loot. Like, I think that I would almost have gone in a different direction from Blizzard here. I agree that raid rewards were not good enough. I think that Mythic Plus needs an equitable avenue for gearing for players. Right now, it is equal, but it's at the expense of raid. But I don't think that's like. I don't think the current system is an okay solution because it is so negative for raid. But I do think there's a way to get them to where both ecosystems are fairly happy. But I think it actually involves removing spammable heroic track gear from Mythic Plus, which some people probably don't like the idea of. But I'm like 99.9% sure that that's the problem.
I don't know if they can exist. Well, the way they've existed in Harmony in the past have been
there was no gear track, right?
Well, you do dungeons to gear up for raid, and then the best gear is from raid.
Yes.
Historically, that's all. I mean, not recently, but that's how it's always been. Well, the thing about raid, there are a lot of things that you don't like and dealing with a lot of people, but that's part of being social, right? Is you make sacrifices and do things that you want to do because eventually you're going to be with somebody and you're going to need their help, and then you kind of want that to be reciprocated, right? Like that's like, essentially what being social or whatever is. And they're kind of, for the longest time, were going against that idea of trying to make WoW social, and they wanted to allow you to do more and more things just with pugs and by yourself. And this is a funny step in the other direction that has me questioning their vision now. I would have been surprised previously. Like, to me, I guess I'm just wondering what exactly they're trying to accomplish here, because clearly there's two answers, right? There's, okay, you can just do whatever content you want to do, and both of them have the best gear, or one of them has the best gear, right? Or you need to do both to have the best gear. Like, it's pretty cut and dry what the options are, and it seems like they're kind of like dancing around or trying to accommodate people or obfuscate what exactly the path
I just don't
is
understand
or what the goal is.
I just don't understand why you're not able to hit gear cap from Mythic Plus. Like, what the fuck is that? like that to me, I think, is the biggest question mark of the entire thing. Like, there's obviously going to be better pieces of gear. I think Litany's a good example. Raid has felt underwhelming because
then,
it's not
by definition,
enough.
you're not at gear cap then.
Okay. Like, let's say they put an equivalent
item level cap.
If they were to put in an equivalent pinnacle source of loot in Mythic Plus, what item level would that be? Or what key level would that be? Of the last two bosses on Mythic. Let's say if your highest, Mythic Plus for the week is X, you get Myth 9 of 6 in the vault. What is X?
Okay, you know how they said they were gonna have the floating 3400 achievement where it's 3400 now, but they want to always move it to be
Oh yeah, I think I looked at that.
It's floating, right? They want it to move it every single season to be equal difficulty. What if you're doing dungeons that are higher than that, right? Like, what if you're over 3,400 and you're whatever the fucking dungeons are that make up 3,400? You have that.
So right now it's 3,500 on live, which is 16s. So you think a 16 is equivalent to Mythic Bellerin and Mythic Lura?
For one piece of gear
I think
a
they
week?
should just delete myth track gear entirely. I think having the discussion of what is equal or what is the level of skill which you should get the best gear is silly.
The
I think that
the tracks are the issue in my opinion. Like I think it started with the crest system. I think is where we went off in the weeds, and it's been tough for them to be able to rebound from the crest system as a whole. Like I think it's the crest system. I think it's the profession gear. I think it's kind of the vault. Like all three of those things, I'm like, what the fuck? I actually think bonus rolls are way better than the vault. God.
I think that weapon crafting to me is one of the biggest problems right now, and I'm surprised to see them not address it.
Yeah.
Especially when they're kind of leaning into the idea of having more special loot or whatever again, like having these cantrips and making the cantrips keep their effects even if you catalyze them or whatever. To me, the most obvious logical step is to have, weapons be a thing again. Like, it's a little silly that weapons don't even exist, that like you just craft a weapon on week 1 of the patch and that's the correct thing to do on every character, and then unless there's a random special item in the raid that has a cantrip effect, you just don't care about it.
I do agree with you that the entire situation's weird, though. I kind of think they just need to almost scrap the entire reward system and start again.
I think we're all in agreement of that, right?
Yeah.
I think we're all there.
I think that's about where I'm at right now. Is like we can discuss in circles because I think we've established Raid and Mythic Plus can never be balanced.
No,
like it's just it is. If Mythic Plus is equal to Raid, you will do Mythic Plus because it's just easier to coordinate. So like they need something there, and the track system isn't helping. The crafting system isn't helping. They're now like putting flex tape on the issues that they find, but then opening another hole later on.
The Myth Track 2 bit is the best bit of this entire
I can't believe it. I was shocked. Like, I joked about it, and then they actually did it. They actually just put another myth track up. But, like, sometimes I wonder the world that I live in.
I mean, here's what I will end with. I'm glad they're trying something, and it's very clear they're listening to feedback. Very clear.
Yes.
Yeah, they are definitely listening to feedback. I will agree with you there. It is very clear. Whether or not that's a good thing, I'll leave it up for everyone to decide.
Yes. But, I mean, I don't think that Heroic Raid being completely devalued and Myth Raid being slightly devalued was a great look for the game either. So, regardless, like, even if Raid drops the best gear, I think there's a very vocal player base right now about it.
Yeah.
I think this will benefit more players than it will hurt. Because people are going to do Mythic Plus no matter what, and the people that this benefits in the raids are going to do Raid.
Well, no.
Dude, Squishy's farming so many L's.
Am I wrong?
Who does this benefit?
That's crazy.
Okay, who does this benefit? This benefits cutting edge level raiders. This benefits heroic raiders, right? Because now they're actually
benefits every raider.
Mythic loot. Yeah.
Every raider.
If you Mythic Raid in World of Warcraft, you probably should be happy about these changes. Maybe you're not should be happy, but you will benefit, and there's some loot dopamine and power being put back into your hands.
Even if you're LFR Raider, that gives you champion check loot now. That's nothing to scuff about.
That's not terrible. Like if you
do normal, you do hero. Like that's still good.
These are much better. I also think that if you're a non-title level Mythic Pluser, this is mostly neutral, right? Like, I actually don't think too much changes for you from this. I think if you were a title level Mythic Pluser and the people that you have to compare first off, you're doing something that is inherently comparative, right? If you're a title level Mythic Pluser, you're going to be comparing yourself against people who have Myth 9 out of 6 loot. So I think that is the subset of people that are getting fucked, right? Like those are the people, in my opinion, that are actually coming out worse for wear here. But it's not like a large portion of the Mythic Plus community.
Well, so what if Mythic Lura dropped stuff that was 500 item levels ahead of Myth Track? you could make the same argument that it doesn't really affect them. It's not really.
Sorry, what are you trying to say?
Well, you're making the argument that, oh, if you don't do super challenging content, it doesn't really change for you. But like, the problem is that the gear is out there and that other people can have it, right?
It's mostly okay. It's mostly that people who are cutting edge raiders aren't. Okay, it's not that they're not doing 12s, but they're not doing 12s competitively, right? Right. It's not like they're not doing 12s, but they're not doing 12s. If that makes any sense.
I just think that a lot of people play the game for the enjoyment of it, and I think that looking at a change strictly on what are the competitive implications on it, rather than like how is it going to change the way people feel or play the game, I don't think it's fair to just be like, oh, well, this won't affect their key level or these items don't matter for these people.
There are some people who are going to feel super positively about this, and there are some people who are going to feel pretty negative about it, right? I think that's just the nature of how this works.
Yep.
I mean, ultimately, they want to incentivize Mythic Raid. Like, I've been obviously on the side of the Mythic Plusers, but it's important to consider that they want to have this carrot for you to feel like, hey, I'm going to set aside my differences and I'm going to sacrifice 2 or 3 nights a week to be a part of a guild, because they make the bet that after you do that, you will find enjoyment and you will be glad that you did it, right? Although a lot of Mythic Plus players see that as the stick of, oh, I'm being forced to raid with a bunch of zoo animals and I hate this to do content that I don't want to do, right? And so I whatever way they choose is kind of whatever. I enjoy both ways. But I think they went about it in a very, very strange way.
All right, pull the subtitles.
Ooh, the Yoda tweet.
I want to get your guys' thoughts on this, because Yoda tweeted,
XD.
And Telos is going to pull this up eventually. If raiding was fun, you wouldn't need to put 9 of 6 myth pieces in the raid to make people do it. They would do it for the love of the game or for title/transmog. Thoughts?
I don't understand, okay, this sentiment sucks, mostly because, raiding is fun, end-game content is fun, Mythic Plus is fun, and gearing is fun. I don't know why there's this sentiment that gearing is not, a sense of enjoyment. I enjoy the process of gearing, no? Is that an insane thing to think? There's a reason that I don't like the tournament realm, and I don't really love PTRs like that. There's no permanence, and the sense of gearing, there's, it's just, you were missing, half the game. Is that insane?
It's the people that see gearing as a means to an end rather than the game, right? They look at the game as compartmentalized. I'm a Mythic Plus player. I enjoy doing dungeons, and I don't enjoy doing anything else.
Also, raid is fun. I don't know what does this take?
Growly, you want to go?
I think this is a facetious argument to say that. If something, right? If it was fun, you wouldn't need to put rewards on it. I mean, so what are you arguing for? Not having any power rewards or rewards in anything? Which actually, power rewards, I'm arguing for, right? I think that at this point in WoW, you should just let people play the game and have, the stupid drip-fed gearing and not have any, quote, skill-gated rewards, because there are basically none of those left anyway, and they're just, random pieces, oh, you do mythic lura and you're stronger than everybody else, but otherwise loot gets fed to you, every single week. It's just the loot feels very, very weird. But I mean, what they're trying to do, right? He's pointing out the obvious, that they want people to raid more. They want you to feel incentivized and happy to be in a guild and make it feel like it's worth it. And well, if you don't want to be in a guild, then that might be how you feel.
Yeah.
I think for me, there's a clear problem, and I think there's very clear feedback here. I think this argument is not the best, because you could probably make the same system the same statement about anything in the game.
Any reward in anything
tens.
in the game, right?
if Mythic Plus was fun, you wouldn't need to put a 1% or 0.1% title there and mount there.
If Mythic Plus was fun, you wouldn't need to put vault rewards behind tens. You would just do them. No, I would not be doing motherfucking tens. Stop.
I think there's a lot of frustration and feelings about it, and I think they're totally valid. But I think the way that some people are presenting them and like
Yeah.
what the actual problem is just really hard to identify because the game is so intertwined with each other.
Dude, I saw humanity crashing the fuck out on Twitter, and then Lo-Fi Banshee responded to a humanity tweet. It was like, bro, you have put out 30, not 29, not 31, 30 tweets about this gearing change since it's come out. You need to relax. I was just like, I was
Lo-Fi
dying.
Banshee versus humanity Twitter, bro. I gotta see this.
This is good shit.
This is the battle
laughed.
of the Titans right there.
There's also the other things like the bonus roll sticking around.
Dude,
I
okay.
think bonus rolls coming from your vault early on leaves a really weird feeling to me.
I think that
because
this is a blind spot for Blizzard. What were you gonna say? Sorry.
I was gonna say that you're highly incentivized to take bonus rolls, right? Because they're
Yes.
sort of they compound in value on each other, right? Like the more of them you have, like every extra bonus roll you do on an item that you need, either you get the item you need and it's great and you move on, or every bonus roll becomes more valuable, right? So WoW players will optimize the fun out of everything, and so when you leave the optimal solution leave the Rice Krispie treat and you get another one in 8 weeks, to me that's ridiculous design, and I don't know if this is going to go over well.
I think low-key Dratnos put out a really good analysis of what the correct solution was going to be with this. And in the analysis, he ended up coming to the conclusion of you were supposed to always take a bonus roll, and then you look at a fight like Chimeras, where it has one home run item, two items that suck, or one home run item, two items that are good, and then one item that sucks, right? Where it has the offhand that is completely useless for most people because you've crafted a weapon. It has two pretty good items with the tier piece and then an off piece, and then it has the home run item, right? The Gaze of the Allseer. You're supposed to always take bonus rolls and bonus roll Chimeras to completion because your first bonus roll is what it is, but your second bonus roll is better than your first, which is better. Your third bonus roll is better than your second, right? And it builds off of one another. And I think that the correct solution from a gameplay optimization standpoint, which is what Growl was kind of tiptoeing around, is to always take bonus rolls and then identify a boss in which you were able to get and extract the maximum value out of. And then if you high roll, what is the high roll solution? You actually don't have to, you get your best pieces 1, 2, and 3, which happens 25% of the time. And then you actually don't even have to bonus roll that shitty offhand that was never going to be an upgrade anyways. And it's the only reason you would ever take anything out of your vault was if it was basically a Gaze of the Allseer or the trinket that you were chasing in the first place. Because if you take an item out of your vault and then you would ever bonus roll that boss in the future, then you were just screwing yourself. And it's it's a really weird gameplay loop that's going to happen with the vault versus what you're doing with bonus rolls. I feel like they kind of exist as the same thing, except one is slightly better than the other, and so we are going to optimize that.
I would almost support the bonus roll as being a second chance if it was non-knockout list. You just get to roll on one boss's loot table and that's it. It doesn't kill something from the list. But maybe that's a little too punishing.
Well, that's the same strength as the vault then, right?
No, because well, yes, but essentially it's a second chance of something that you want, which I think is the whole point. You want to get, I didn't like anything in my vaults. Give me one more chance, 1 in 4, 1 in 5, or whatever it might be.
Yeah, I think that I think the bonus rolls as they currently stand are a little bit too good as a pity currency for the vault reward. Mostly because the correct solution is what Growl said. You always take the bonus roll. You always slam that down, and it's it feels really bad.
Yeah. I wonder if anyone's had a similar experience to me this season. It could be a, whatever top player thing, but I decided to play an alt or a different character a little later in the season than, I didn't really decide. I ended up deciding I wanted to play AUG and then Mistweaver kind of late. And I also I don't want to say I used my bonus rolls poorly, but I just like got unlucky and I needed to like bonus roll out the whole pool of a dungeon. And I'm still looking for items. Like I still need items from the raid. And I feel like everyone is just checked out and done, and everyone is just playing PoE or whatever now. And like my friend raids and all the stuff that was going on are just like, I don't know. The game feels really, really dead to me right now, at least for like trying to gear up, because anybody who's like super serious about gearing is obviously fully geared. And so starting an alt later or whatever is like, yeah, I get a bunch of myth items and it's cool or whatever, but getting like specific items that I need, especially for raid, has felt really bad.
So, something that also feels very exploitative that wasn't addressed in this gearing post was the Myth of the Dawn achievement, where we didn't hear anything about any of that. Hero of the Dawn and Myth of the Dawn is cringe, and I hope both of them go away or get retooled. I literally just think it just needs to be changed to be like, you get more crests from sources instead of there is a crest discount. Like, please do not let me exploit this with a fucking second and third character. I am begging you.
I'm sure
making
that
a
won't
second
be fixed.
mage next year.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
you're sure,
sure
it will
that
be
will be
fixed. Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
Like,
to know.
if they let it go through, the entire player base is going to do the most degenerate thing I've seen in a very long time and hating it.
You're okay, John Wowhead.
Wait, what do you mean if it goes through? What?
Like, if they don't do anything about it, everybody knows the tactic now. There will be detailed guides across Wowhead and every YouTube channel on make sure to optimize, don't fuck up your character before you spend any crests. Blizzard will do something about it. Like, if they don't, oh boy, are they in for a world of hurt.
So you think
like,
the
this
only
is the-
reason that people weren't making a crest guy last patch is because they didn't?
They didn't know about it. No, it was not that widely spread.
It wasn't.
No way.
You might be right. You might be
No,
right.
it wasn't that people didn't know about it. I don't think people recognized how impactful it could be. But now you know that like you basically are just like super juicing your character, especially the Myth of the Dawn. I saw some people get like 3 item levels ahead of their counterparts because of the Myth of the Dawn abuse. I think Twix jumped up like 8 item levels one week and took a character from 278 to 287 or something like that. It was like ridiculous.
I mean, realistically, they could solve it by not having it at the start of the season, or the thing that we've always been talking about until, since the beginning of the podcast, make the achievement drop more crests versus spend less crests.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be for alts. Not my second main.
Like, the idea of I'm gonna hold all my crests on my alts until I get this achievement is so stupid.
Yeah.
Like, guys, I'm gonna get the achievement next week. I'm not spending any crests on any of my alts. Like, that sucks.
Dude, on my Mythic Plus character is the best course of action not knock out 3 boxes in my vault every single week, take a bonus roll, knock out 3 boxes in my vault every week, take a bonus roll, take a bonus roll, take a bonus roll, sit on all my crests, sit on all my crests, sit on all my crests, spend nothing, save, save, save. Oh, my main got Myth of the Dawn. Time to play! Like, what are we doing? That cannot be right!
That's investing. Ground knows all about that.
Compound interest. Business is booming. Ogle's online. I couldn't play for 8 weeks, but I'm back.
Yeah. I kind of wonder how many people will do this, but it's only going to get more and more spread, right? Like, it's only going to be more people doing it, assuming that the system stays the way.
My peon.
Now that it's out, you're gonna have a Tettles YouTube video, you're gonna have a Zorthus YouTube video, you're gonna have a bunch of other YouTube videos talk about how to optimize Myth of the Dawn. It's gonna be a thing.
We're gonna be the change that we don't want to see.
Look, if there's any change that I can enact, please fix that. That shit sucks. Like, it's just not a very fun play pattern more than anything else. I think is like the bigger problem that I have with it. Like, please save me from myself. Please, I am begging. What's the deal with the scaling cost of gear upgrades? Is this real lore?
It's back. It's in the data. It's on the beta PTR right now.
Okay, what are the odds of it being like some branch management issue where this was also present throughout the beta?
Possible.
I think it's likely.
But the problem is they extended the track to the 9th, the myth track to 9. So in the same build, which clearly means they looked at it.
What do you mean?
I don't know enough about how these things work.
What do you mean extended the track to 9? Like on those pieces of gear, it doesn't show that it's on a myth track. It just says...
every track has 8 by default. They only allow you to hit 6. This has been the way it's worked since they put in this upgrade system.
Oh,
So there's always been 8. They only allow you to put in 6. But they extended specifically the myth track to 9 in this PTR.
Okay.
Somebody did that. So it's possible.
Okay.
Raid gear advantage would if this happened. Basically, what we're saying is they had a scaling system, so like 1 of 6 to 2 to 6 costed less than 5 of 6 to 6 of 6 by like a lot. And if they keep that, raid gearing is going to be ridiculous, right? Because you're getting 6 of 6 myth from your vault, so you're actually and from the drops, right? So you're actually gaining so many crests.
I think the big differentiator is it's going to let you craft on cooldown as opposed to having to make a decision as to whether or not to craft versus upgrade that piece that week for mythic clusters. So it's probably about half a piece additional. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing. Other stuff. Catalyst got changed. I think that this is mostly a positive. Basically, Blizzard said since the Catalyst introduction, the value of armor item drops in class set slots has been greatly reduced because the vast majority will simply be converted to a class set item. In order to give these items their own identity and allow for further character customization, class set armor will now inherit the secondary stats from the original converted item. This will also apply to certain special effects going forward, such as Ulatek's Venom Cursed armor cantrips, which were the ones that called off the final boss of the raid. As in previous seasons, players may also still acquire class set armor directly from the Venomous Abyss raid. So I think that it reads as if, like if you catalyze boots and bracers, it's also not going to work like that anymore, where those pieces are just like biffs. Although it's not explicitly stated, it does read like that. But I think that this overall is I think this is a better change. I think the catalyst has been like really weird for a hot minute in terms of its actual impact.
Yeah, to me, I don't understand the vision in tier sets. Again, this is another thing that I don't necessarily hate its current implementation, but I just don't understand the vision or what they're trying to accomplish by creating a tier set and then essentially putting a system in place so that everyone gets their bonus like very, very, very quickly in the season. Like previously, the point of the tier set was this was like a collected thing that you do from re-clearing the raid where eventually you get all the pieces and it feels good. And I understand why it may not have a place in today's current game, but then why is there even a tier set? Like, why isn't it just you get a raid from the neck or a neck from the raid every patch that changes your guy a little bit, Like, it doesn't make any sense why you have to use 4 tier pieces and they have specific stats on them, and it just very messy to me. And I think that I don't understand. I don't understand why they're going this way or what they're doing. Like, they should just separate this and tier set should be a different thing. But maybe this is me being out of touch or not understanding, but to me it seems very, very, very easy to collect 4 pieces of tier.
I think tier sets are cool. I did see something, the text on the catalyst charge drop changed. I don't know, did you guys see this as well?
Yeah. So I wasn't sure exactly, but my interpretation of it was that it probably drops from everything now, like Void Cores do, and then it takes 5 of them to get a catalyst charge versus it dropping at random 1 out of 5 times. Did you get that read too?
So we don't know because as with Blizzard, the catalyst still costs 1 on the PTR. It says it costs 5 in the tooltip, and the achievement now gives 3. So either
what's that mean?
The tooltip is wrong and the achievement gives you 3, meaning you get 4 set right away, or the catalyst is wrong and you get not even a full catalyst charge in the achievement. You get 3 of 5, and catalyst charges just drop more often. Either way, my question is why the hell are they fucking with it? Right?
I think that I'm guessing that it's because gearing doesn't feel great and a lot of the systems are very confusing. And
gearing does not feel great, I think, is the issue.
I mean, I agree with you, but this doesn't help either. I mean,
no, I understand what you're saying. You're like, what are they trying to accomplish? Which, I agree.
Like, Growl is right, in my opinion, in that what is the point of tier? Because in original, like when tier was first started, it was a cool way to get a bonus power, but you didn't need it to kill bosses. But now it's very clear that you need this thing to clear bosses.
Right, it's an intended power of your character for the entire
I mean,
season.
it's just game design creep, I think, a little bit, right?
Yeah. I mean, what this change is doing right now is you're essentially appending a 4 set onto 4 pieces. That's all you're doing. The piece is
Right.
essentially functionally the same. You're just putting a 4 set on top of it. So it kind of just turns into something meh, but they're not really adding too much in return.
I think there's more thought to gearing, I think, because of the change. But
Sure, I mean, I guess I do like the fact that the stats don't change and you now have to think about pieces and you care about specific pieces. I don't like the idea of a piece is essentially its item level, like that summarizes its entire value, and you just simply look at a number on the piece and then maybe you look at one of the stats to see if it has, crit haste or whatever. I think that I wish there were more thinking or decision making or, things that change based off of the gear that you have. And like we talked about parity between Mythic Plus and Raid, and I think that's one of the things that, like having different pieces drop from different places is one way that they can separate them without making them feel too different. Like, oh, if you really want your best pieces for this spec, you have to do these bosses or these dungeons. But yeah, I don't really understand what they're doing, but I do think they're probably a net positive change, I'm guessing, but it just is, very jumbled system.
yeah, I think I'm glad they're trying stuff. I don't see the vision on all the stuff, but I am glad that they're actually trying shit.
Yeah. I mean, I'm down for a change regardless. Like, the reason they're changing it might literally be to prevent stagnation. Because I've talked about, and we've talked about, how boring it is to do the same thing every single season. Whether it's crafted weapons, whether it's, getting your 4 set, a small change does go a long way.
Crafted gear, Myth of the Dawn achievement, address both those things. I'm also completely fucking down for. Like, I think both of those are a little bit solvable as well. Like, those feel like solvable things too, just from feedback, right? Just from where I doubt Blizzard would be like, no, we're digging our heels in. Okay. Anything else on gearing?
I feel like surely there had to have been more. I can't think of anything though. I mean, I guess we did kind of discuss it to death.
It was 45 minutes, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but it was a long time.
Only 45. They were slacking.
Yeah. Okay, other stuff, because we got actually a decent amount of info on 12.1. Blizzard intentionally went through and made a couple of system level changes to some stuff where player health and creature damage has been increased by 25% at max level. Health consumable values have been adjusted to match the new health values. I think there's kind of underlying text here that tanks are a little bit stronger now because of this, or a little bit more self-sufficient because of this as well, because of the health and like how DRs work and how self-healing works for tanks. They normally get a little bit of a buff from this, but this is one of the most, I would say, frequently tuned knobs. I think this has happened like 5 times or something like that at this point, where they still haven't landed in a spot where they're happy with healing power, which this is kind of I don't know. This is kind of like almost comedic at this point in time. 25%. This is such a big fucking number that they hit all the time.
It's really funny that you mention it like that. The way that you phrased it, like 25%. Imagine your spec gets a 25% buff. Like, that is so far off the mark of what it should be.
So sick.
I noticed this when I was playing the beta for Midnight, that healers felt very, very impactful and very powerful. And it's interesting to see them only now make the changes. I've always been an advocate of making healing slower and just letting, like decision making and not split second reaction time being a big deal. But
yeah,
they've struggled a lot, especially when it comes to just very challenging content with how powerful the add-ons have become and how good people are. It's hard to beat them strategically when they have a nice lady in your ear telling you when to press every single button. So, yeah, I would like to see them take maybe a little bit of a harder look on this and slow down the game a lot more when it comes to healing. But I don't know if that's attainable at the top levels, like maybe in 12s. Like, I think healing in 12s or heroic raid or whatever is fine. Like, maybe there isn't as big of a problem as it feels when you do the really cutting edge content.
This could literally be written as healers are 25% less powerful straight across the board. Tanks are buffed. That's literally all this could say. And it would be the same thing.
I don't have a big of an issue with it. It's between seasons. Like, if there's a tuning knob between seasons that they need to do every season, like, I don't see an issue with it. I don't know. They're adjusting.
How are they so far off all the time? I mean, this has happened.
I mean,
so
are they
frequently.
off, or are they just preparing for the next season?
I felt like it's off, but
Okay, which is fair, but like, because I don't know. At least this tier, I felt like I didn't completely die. Like, my health wasn't ping ponging.
Maybe it's like a high end Mythic Plus thing, but let me just say, a Resto Shaman trying to heal me versus a Mistweaver Monk spinning crane kicking on a trash pack is a noticeable amount of healing difference.
Oh, okay, well, high end Mythic Plus, like, I'm gonna be dead honest with you. You're always gonna get into one shot territory.
Well, also that's a little bit.
We're not getting one shot. Like, I actually don't think we're getting one shot. Healers are able to heal our entire health bar in like 0.8 seconds.
To be clear, healers or a healer?
Resto Druid also can do it.
So 2 healers.
Admittedly, I don't really have a bunch of experience with the other ones.
So I mean, it sounds like it's 2 healers can do it too much.
Well, I could do it.
Which makes me think it's an issue with those who said.
I could kind of fucking top people in one Serenity on my Holy Priest. It was kind of chill.
Oh, like, I'm honestly, like, I'm not familiar with healing. Like, so if that is the case, then sure. But my thought of this is, it's a correction. Whatever. I have not felt like things were super spiky this tier. So that's my personal experience.
I don't think damage intake is. I think healing is, though, which is weird. Like, damage intake, I feel like has actually felt like pretty. It's mostly. I think that they've designed damage intake differently. Maybe Growl might have a bit of a different perspective with this, though, as he's played healers and DPS here.
I feel like damage is pretty dang spiky.
Okay.
I just think that as a collective, maybe that we just have so many more defensives, and defensive usage has gotten so much better that it might not feel as tanky because everyone's literally swimming in like a 30% DR all the time. But I feel like damage is pretty spiky, and I feel like healers seem really, really powerful and how fast you can top people up.
Fair enough.
I'm also, the classic Andy old school advocator guy, so I don't necessarily mind this level of difficulty. Like, I don't think it's an unfair level of difficulty. I just think that it's not traditionally what WoW has been about. Like, okay, let me decide what spells to use, and I'm not really like challenged to. Like, sometimes there will be, or sorry, I should say, there was reflexive challenges of, oh, you need to respond to this damage in a very short amount of time. Now it feels like most of the damage is like that, where you have to have a defensive beforehand, and or you have to be like pressing the exact right globals in the right moment. It feels like there's more and more of that, but that could just be the difficulty of the game increasing as people are getting better and better at the game.
Yeah. Another change that they made, they said that we're going to be lowering the throughput for major DPS cooldowns for several specializations, increasing their steady damage. When damage done during cooldowns is significantly higher than damage outside of CDs, the pacing of combat outside of CDs can feel sluggish. I will say, I'm pretty sure that this is a thing for, like, pretty much every single specialization in the game. I mean, they're talking about specific ones here, and the specializations that ended up getting changed were like Unholy DK, Windwalker Monk, Fire Mage, Devoured Demon Hunter, Elemental Shaman. Those are the specializations that Ret Paladin ended up getting changed because of this. At the same time, I feel fairly confident this was an issue of hero talents. Like, this was a thing that started in the War Within, where pretty much everybody had or have multiplying damage modifiers, particularly slated towards cooldowns, added whenever hero talents got added. And if you look, I mean, you can pull up like Simulation Craft. You can see pretty much every single spec in the game is not a flat damage profile. They are like, I press my cooldown and then I do 100% of my damage inside of my CD. Like, you know, I mean, this is Fire, who's obviously getting nerfed, and let me pull up Elemental Shaman, which I think that Ascendance is like kind of like the quintessential example of this. Like, they press Ascendance, they do infinite damage, and they just like, sit there AFK for a while. But I think most specializations, there's very few specs that have like a flat damage profile nowadays. Like, that's not really a thing.
All of these words that they're saying, the idea of making damage more flat, making healing slower and more methodical, these are all good words, but the game has not gone in this direction for the last so many years, and they've said a lot of these same words before. That
this is true.
I applaud their goals, and I think I would enjoy the game more if the game was like this, but I don't know if they will accomplish those goals. Ultimately, they kind of realize that they want cooldowns and new things in the game for you to pog out about, and at the same time, they just keep piling, like, they have to keep piling that into cooldowns, right? Like, there was a time when, as a demon hunter, you press metamorphosis and you are some, demon or whatever, and you cared a lot about that button, but it also wasn't like a huge weight of your damage. I mean, I don't know, maybe it was at some point, but cooldowns have essentially changed a lot, where they've gone in phases where you're in cooldowns all the time with like Vision of Perfection or like weird procs and builds and stuff, or sometimes they're really heavily weighted in your cooldowns. I mean,
I just don't see like how this happens. Look at this. So every minute and a half, Frosty K presses their cooldown. Not a specialization that took a damage spike nerf, right? And they do 4x their damage by pressing their cooldowns, and then their damage plateaus, and then every 45 seconds their damage goes from 76k to 152k. So they do 2x their damage every 45. Like, I just don't.
Is that bad? Is that, I guess, it begs the question of, is that a bad thing? Is it something that needs?
I mean, it's something that they're stating that they're trying to change, but I don't think that it's like a thing that's isolated to just these 6 specializations that they've listed. Although I do think that
it's more of a broad game design.
I mean, I do think that Elemental Shaman pressing a button and then going from 76k to 300k is like ridiculous, but I don't think it's any different than what I just saw from Frost Death Knight. Like, it's not new.
The hard part is cooldowns. If a cooldown is not good and barely increases your damage, then it doesn't feel good to press, meaning why is it there?
Right, that's what I was sort of getting at, was everyone wants new cool things and new powers and this and that, but eventually, like, there's just going to be a ridiculous power creep if we don't do stuff like this. Me personally, I think they struggle a lot here, because it would be cool if there was a ton of diversity and tons of different classes were good at tons of different things, which they kind of do that. The problem is everyone is so hyper fixated on balance and making every class equal in Raid and being able to do all the same things and get invited to Mythic Plus. So it's hard when we all care so much about balance to create diversity between classes, and lots of classes having different damage profiles. Like, we're seeing this very common trend with hero talents that you mentioned, I think, of every class sort of just like does their single target rotation on one mob and has like prio damage on that mob, but it like cleaves off of it and hits everything else. Like, very few classes are like having to choose.
It was just miserable whenever like there was a bunch of specializations. I think like DPS Warrior for the longest time just did not have a good setup to be good in Mythic Plus at all, right? Like you would play your Mythic Plus build and you would take a 15% single target penalty, and you're just like, what the fuck is this? And then you're like, that spec cannot be good in Mythic Plus, right? And so then in Dragonflight with the talent tree revamp, they really aimed to solve a lot of that, but in the process, it got, I think the buzzword here is homogenized, where everybody's able to be good at Mythic Plus and be good at Raid and fill all the exact same damage niches, and everybody has strong, impactful cooldowns because that's fun. And, like, the specializations that have a flat damage profile they no longer exist.
Yeah, that's sort of what I was getting at, was you can't have diversity and balance. Like I mean, I don't want to say you can't, but it's very, very difficult for them to accomplish.
Yeah.
And so we kind of have to pick one, and everyone seems to want to pick balance.
The hard part is you don't want an encounter or something to happen where you need a certain amount of cooldowns to happen. Like, I remember Venthyr Boomkin on Sardonathrius, you needed, 3? You wanted 2 or 3 to defeat the lieutenant in phase 2?
That was Convoke. That was lit.
Was it Convoke?
Yeah,
that was Venthyr. All right, regardless.
Venthyr was the patch after where you wanted 2 to 3 Venthyr Moonkins for your Kel'Thuzad.
Oh, Kel'Thuzad. Yes. Sorry. Wrong. Boomkin.
Penis. Of course. Yeah. A very easy problem.
Yeah. None of them Kyrian, to be clear, but
I was a Kyrian.
Never.
Yes.
Look, I got Realm first, 15 as Night Fae. Thank you. All right, who wants to take a crack at the dungeon pool, one of the most highly anticipated dungeon pools of all time?
This is certainly a dungeon pool of all time.
Oh yes.
So this is something that Settles and I think are in very much agreement on, that we've talked about before. Of we can look at the dungeons and say, oh, this dungeon was great, or this dungeon wasn't great, or it's good or bad. But ultimately, they have the ability to take an old dungeon and make it fun, and they have the ability to take a fun dungeon and make it terrible. And we just sort of have to wait and see. I'm honestly more skeptical of the midnight dungeons that are coming in the season, specifically Den of Nalarak, and then maybe like the arena or whatever. Like they have some really out there, and I don't want to say I'm not looking forward to them or I think it's going to be bad. I'm just skeptical and interested to how they're going to be implemented in Mythic Plus.
I understand the tempered expectations here. This is like legacy level fucking terrible in terms of like, you look at this dungeon pool and you're like, this shit is terrible. You have Temple of Sethraliss, which whenever people think of this dungeon, they're like, they think of the eyeballs bugging in the MDI, even though that really never happened on live. They think of how shitty the last boss was, because it was just like a trash gauntlet. They think of how shitty the first boss was, because you'd randomly get like damage reflected and die to something that was like invisible. And they're like, that dungeon sucks. They think of King's Rest, and they're like, wow, Shadow of Zul, I got farmed by that guy. The bridge leading up to Shadow of Zul, I got farmed by that. Somebody let a gold hit the first boss and we wiped. And they're like, wow, that dungeon sucked. My tank got railed the entire dungeon. Ruby Life Pools is actually definitionally Bolt Slop and CC Chain Hell, where it was quite overtuned, but it was also just insane amounts of like casts and kicks. And then everybody did Den of Nalarak and Murder Row and Voidscar Arena during M0 week, and they're like, how do we even fix this? But
okay, well, hold on.
Brackenhide Hollow got fixed.
What is wrong with Murder Row?
There is RP in the middle of
Murder Row.
There's 3 minutes of RP in the middle of the dungeon. Like, what are we talking about?
And
oh my.
Okay, no further questions. Yeah, that's I don't know. Like, I don't want to do 3 minutes worth of RP in the middle of the dungeon. Like, what?
I mean, it stops when you fill the bar. Get better, I guess.
Okay. I don't like that pacing.
Sorry.
I think that pacing sucks. It's the same reason I didn't like the City of Threads RP in the middle of that dungeon. Now, Blizzard did make Brackenhide Hollow better. That dungeon was abysmal during M0 week, and then it ended up being pretty decent. I remember people were going to say it was going to be the worst dungeon of all time, and it really wasn't that bad during that season. That season was marred by other issues like God Comp, and I think Halls of Infusion was actually a much worse dungeon, all things considered. I think that the sentiment that Growl stated is fairly true. Like, Pit of Sauron, if Pit of Sauron is good, they can make any dungeon good. If Freehold was less, Freehold was like not that great, they can make any dungeon bad. I've also fought Grim Battles and Temple of the Jade Serpents and what was the other stinkers? Vortex Pinnacle, and as it turns out, most of these Cataclysm dungeons, they brought back a bunch of bad dungeons, right? They not retooled them very well. But at the same time, they made Pit of Sauron, they made Everbloom, they made Brackenhide better. It's possible. It really just depends on the amount of time, effort, and care that they put in the dungeons.
I think King's Rest will probably slap. That's my prediction. I think King's Rest is going to own.
Wow, that's the hottest take of the pod, I think. Not to say that I'm like dooming it, I think it's going to be bad, but to say it's going to...
Holy shit, those swirlies. Sorry, I just saw the old swirly. I just got flashbanged by that. And
I'm really
thundering.
worried.
Oh my god.
The dungeon I'm actually the most worried about is actually Ruby, because Blizzard doesn't have a tendency to like try to up the newer the dungeon is, the lower of a chance Blizzard had. Like Blizzard didn't really do that much to Alg. They updated the battle axes, but not a lot changed about Algathar Academy. If not a lot changes about Ruby, I'm really worried because this dungeon was quite annoying, especially this upper ring of trash. Like Thunderhead, Flame Galay, those guys suck. The caster mobs and needing to like chain CC them was really stupid. It's just kind of like poorly designed in my opinion, and it's so new that if Blizzard is like, oh, this dungeon is so recent that we don't need to change stuff, that would, in my opinion, be unacceptable. Because this dungeon needs to be modernized, considering the fact that healers no longer have a kick. And we have way less CC, and we can't track CC and stuff.
You know they changed Alg pretty significantly. They removed a bunch of casts in there. The scepters don't exist.
So,
the big elementals no longer spam cast surge.
It doesn't.
They changed a lot of Proth too.
The battle axes don't apply a bleed to your tank anymore. Like I don't think that's saying they didn't they targeted a lot of good stuff in Alg, but they also buffed the shit out of the dungeon in a way that I don't think made people happy. Like I just wanted kind of fact checked you a little there that they did actually remove a lot of casters in Alg.
I think Alg has a unique problem where it's sequenced really weird with the mini boss on the thing or whatever, and you can't really there's just a lot of walls and ways that stop you from combining pulls. Also, it's one of the most difficult dungeons this season. I think there's always a tendency for people to sort of brush up against the friction of whatever the hardest dungeon is. I stand by that. I think Sanguine Depths was really good, but everyone hated that dungeon. But I mean, it was a good dungeon. It was just really hard. And I think that Algathar is kind of like that too. I think Algathar is mostly fine right now. One thing that interested me when I went back on the stream let's before I move on, finish about Alg. Sorry.
Yeah, I think Alg is difficult in the exact same way as the old Algathar was difficult, though. I think is mostly what I meant whenever I said that. Sure, they changed some stuff, but that's the only dungeon on the season where you actually have to do a CC chain on any trash pack. And, a lot of the point of difficulty of old Algathar was the timer, like Growl-sided, and a lot of the difficulty of current Algathar is the timer.
That's fair.
I was surprised at how out of date Temple of Seth and King's Rest were, because I sort of see, I do have a little bit of rose-tinted glasses when I think about BFAM+. Holy shit is King's Rest and Temple of Seth out of control dungeons. There's so many mobs and mechanics in that dungeon that they would literally never exist in current game. So a couple of mobs. Just think about the first room in Temple of Seth, right? There were mobs that would be in stealth and they would patrol around and they would stun your tank and cheap shot your tank in the middle of a pull and kill you. There's another mob, it was an archer, but it had an ability called Power Shot, and it had no line on the ground or anything, and it would just shoot and one-shot everybody if the key level was high enough, to the point where people would just chain stun it because you couldn't. It was so hard to see that people treated it as a cast that you had to stop because it would just shoot out an arrow that would just kill you. And also the lightning shield, as you mentioned on the first boss. Basically, it was a mechanic where if random abilities that would bounce or proc or hit in an AoE would just trigger this lightning shield on a mob you're not supposed to hit and just instantly fry you. They are going to need to do a lot of changing in Temple of Seth, and I think that dungeon is probably going to be fine when they're done with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this...
I agree.
They have 6 dungeons that need changes or something, right? I don't know anything about this dungeon. I think this dungeon is mostly fine. From it's gonna be Mythic Plus-ized, but I don't think it's needs insane changes. So we're talking about Ultra Fangs and Blinding Veil. Murder Row, there's RP that's kind of weird in here. Dinim Nalarak, that entire the RP at the very beginning, the Winter Gauntlet, both of those things are really weird in a Mythic Plus setting. How's that work? Void Scar Arena, Forced Trash Gauntlets are not really, nobody's really keen on those. For the same reason, people aren't going to be, the way that King's Rest was hard, the way that Temple of Sethrilus was hard, and the stops and stuff in Ruby. They're going to they actually have their plate pretty full in terms of, needing to do a bunch for these dungeons.
The one thing I will say is that I do think that these dungeons are very linear compared to a lot of other dungeons.
So
Now, King's Rest and Temple of Sethralus were very well known for getting 200% count if you held W.
correct.
That will almost certainly change because they've been like props are due. Blizzard's been relatively good about creating a relatively good W route, especially with Lindormi's guidance, right? Like no skips required, and I'm sure that they're going to do this again. I have faith that they are going to do this. The question then comes down to: are they going to have overtuned mobs in the way where you want to skip them, like Flame Galley or the Krolusk Rider on Temple or
Oh my god, I forgot about that guy.
Shadow of Zul.
Yeah,
Or
that was
Shadow
another
of
guy.
Zul or something.
Completely untelegraphed cleave. If you were anywhere near the tank, you just died. I remember there was a discussion on the MDI broadcast about, were people back in the day better or worse, right? And this is like a stupid discussion, but it led down the road of like how insanely difficult it was to play melee in BFA or Legion. Like melee players nowadays don't even know like the stupid mechanics that were in dungeons that you had to deal with as a melee player. Like holy smokes, like the mobs just there's no telegraph at all now compared to. It's just crazy thinking back to, I remember when I played Cataclysm, I was like, not to say disappointed, but I'm just like, damn, WoW telegraphing has really come a long way. And now it's crazy for me to watch back BFA, which were dungeons that I was a part of that I thought were modern and good. Now thinking, oh, wow, this seems like out of date, or dungeons have come a long way again. It's just interesting.
Yeah. I mean, they've already done some pretty big reworks. To my knowledge, the last boss of Templo got a rework because that fight was shit. The first boss of Ruby Life Pools got a rework.
Oh my god, a death skip. What the fuck? Damn, this really is 2018, huh?
Yeah. And Shroud. But yeah, like, Blizzard's clearly doing stuff. I would say to everybody, wait and see. Like, we haven't even started testing yet. Before going crazy, like, for all we know, the new dungeon's going to be absolutely horrible, and every other dungeon's going to be a banger.
I am definitely like, the name value of this dungeon pool, I understand the worry. This dungeon pool looks like ass. It could be good. I'm certainly a wait and see. It looks terrible, but I've been wrong so many times, I think, with the revamped dungeons in terms of my expectations versus reality, that I'm unwilling to put my stamp on something and be like, yep, this is exactly how this is going to turn out, because it's impossible to know.
Yep.
I think it's very unlikely the dungeon pool is going to be good. I think it's going to be... I think it's very likely not going to be as bad as people make it out to be, but I think that these dungeons and the layouts and everything just don't... There just isn't really that many like inspiring, open, cool ideas that I think are possible in these dungeons. But a lot of what makes the dungeons bad, like the mobs and the mechanics and the bosses, I think will mostly get fixed.
Yeah.
And it will be interesting to do all of the bosses in Temple of Seth. I think about all of them. I don't know if they would hold up in the modern day or what people's idea of a dungeon boss is. So
What's this stupid
I'm
boss?
very
Marektha?
Interested.
This guy's ass.
Yeah,
like, that guy's ass.
Look at the intermission and the telegraphing of the guy, how it goes under.
Yeah.
It's just none of this. It's just so interesting how none of this stuff would hold up in current day.
Look, he's just like,
or I don't want to say, okay, I don't want to say hold up, but people are now used to a level of the game where you can just see everything by looking at the ground. Yeah, you see
Look
what
at
I mean,
Shaq.
right?
Shaq is literally like having to peel out of melee of the mobs because it's impossible to actually know where the snake is going. So instead of hitting the mobs like he would do in modern WoW, he is out of melee, making sure that he's not going to die to these mobs.
Playing melee in this dungeon was completely out of control.
I mean, this is hell. Okay. Yeah, no, people are real annoyed about the dungeon pool. Obvious reasons. I would just say hold reservations until we see the dungeons, and then we can be mad. I think that dungeons are kind of this weird thing too, because I think that the people who designed the dungeon pools, especially some of the mechanics, I feel like they're a little bit more agile and have the ability to make more on the fly changes compared to some of like the really big system level changes that we see sometimes. Stuff with dungeons, I feel like you might get big reworks during a PTR cycle. So I think that's why feedback, especially slated towards the dungeon pool with things that are frustrating, is very important. Mobs got removed out of pit. You guys remember the fucking Quasi video talking about bolt slop? That was, we all just was like, we're like, this is ridiculous, you're wrong. And then Blizzard just like removed some casters out of pit. We're like, yeah, pit's the only one that has a bunch of casters in it. And then they removed mobs out of there. Oh, hold on, they kind of cooked. But they listened to the feedback.
Yep.
Okay. Last thing that we got is Discord integration, where now you can connect your guild Discord and in-game chats in patch 12.1. This is fucking sick. Like I don't think you could even spin this as a negative thing. This is
we talked about this like 3 months ago.
Did you
I
know?
remember talking about it.
Like, did you know?
No. I mean, it makes sense why they're doing this. Like, everybody's on Discord, nobody's in guild chat. It makes sense that if somebody's talking in game, it goes straight to your Discord, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a great change. I mean, I don't have anything negative to say about it. It will look a little weird at first, but I support anything that they can do to try and keep the social fabric of the game together while not undoing the things that they have done before, like for instance the raid and Mythic Plus loot changes or whatever, I think is a good thing. I think we will see, one thing that I like in WoW is when your chat is filled up and there's lots of people talking and just conversations happening and things going on. Like, as stupid as zoning into Silvermoon and hearing everyone talk about politics and Donald Trump is, it's like cool that the world feels alive, right? And so I would rather have that than not, as funny as it is, because sorry, I'm dying. I just think it's part of an MMO and part of like being in a community or whatever. And so I think that having your Discord chat showing up in guild and then vice versa, like, it's going to give you more stuff to read. You're going to feel more connected to your game when you're in the outside world, which is really scary. When you're in game, you're going to be seeing more messages and stuff. Like, I think overall it's really, really cool.
More than anything as well, it's giving more of an emphasis to be in a specific guild with your friends. And secondly, I think that there's a bunch of times where somebody will post in our guild Discord saying, hey, I need 3 people for a Mythic Plus dungeon. And if I'm tabbed into WoW and I'm not looking at that Discord channel, I'll just miss that, right? Even though that's my guild. They could have posted that in guild chat, but instead they elected to post that in our fucking guild Discord for whatever reason, and then I missed it, right? Like, but I think that with this,
or vice versa.
Sure, exactly.
Yeah, it actually is. Yeah,
exactly. In the complete
because like after raid, I go make fucking dinner or something. Somebody's like LF, 2 DPS for keys. That goes to my phone, and I can check my phone while cooking and be like, be there in 5.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think banger change. Like, I think that this, dude. I saw some people calling this like the selfie stick integration or whatever. I was like, this is way better than that. Like, what are we talking about? Yeah. No thank. Why are people in Wowhead mad about this?
People in Wowhead are mad at everything. If I get told at some point that the Wowhead comments is just like one guy who just writes angry things all the time and that's his job, I would believe it. Just because of how ridiculous
privacy
the
nightmare.
Are.
Am I gonna get banned in WoW for how I talk? Am I gonna get banned in WoW for how I talk in Discord? Oh my god, what are we doing?
Wait, wait a second, that's crazy comms. Actually, I didn't think about that.
This guy just outed himself as a racist.
No, but are you?
Okay, well,
makes you wonder. Oh God!
What do you think? No, I'm interested in your.
I think you probably will. Yes, I think you probably, like, if you're being racist in your fucking guild Discord and then it's getting posted to in game and somebody reports your ass, I bet you do get banned. Yeah.
But it's your own guild. You opted in to be in that guild and in that Discord. Like, it should not have the same rules that Blizzard does, because at Blizzard, when it comes to in-game, like, you're opting in to be on the Blizzard game, but you're not opting into that, right?
I mean, you're opting into typing into that channel that's integrated, I think, into the game.
Yeah, you have to opt in, as far as I know.
What do you mean? You load up your game and you have trade chat and shit? No, yeah, I'm saying for Discord you do, but For regular in-game, you don't, right? For regular in-game, you just load into town and you're in trade chat. And so, therefore, like, there has to be some sort of rules that they have to uphold that's stricter than
I mean, it's not
what
all
Discord would uphold.
It's not all of your Discord chats, right? Like, it's not all of your Discord messages. It's just Discord messages that's attached to a specific channel, right?
Right. I mean, in general, I think it's a very good habit to keep your own Discord clean because it's not like those are all personal people that you know and you can have Look, you're thinking of this, you're laughing at me, and I know
just the
everyone
coldest
is doing
take of
this.
all
Like,
time. Like, it's just.
I mean, you guys are just thinking of it as so like binary, black and white. Is like you're either a spewing racist idiot or you're perfect, and there's no in between. Like, I think there's a completely gray area of discussion, and that is also changes with time. What is okay to say 5 years from now might not be the same as what is okay to say now. Like, I think it's ridiculous to think about it black and white like that.
I think that first off, I don't think that WoW has auto flagging for specific messages, nor does Discord, right? So I wouldn't be shocked if both of them have the same, content filtering in that way. Right, they both require you to get like basically reported for anything to actually happen. More than anything as well, it's like what actually is is WoW actually more filtered than Discord? I don't think so. I think they're about the same.
Oh, it definitely is.
I would agree with Grell here. I think a lot of Discord is unpoliced. I mean, I have no idea.
I feel like the only way WoW gets policed is if you get reported, right?
Fuck if I know, dude.
I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, I don't know how Discord works either, to be fair, because I've never been banned in either. So, yeah. I mean, for what it's worth, the way I see it, don't be stupid, and then things will be okay.
I mean, this is kind of like a...
To answer Grell's original question, I do think that you can get banned for something you post on Discord.
I would imagine that's true too, right? Like, I think that's probably fine, assuming that, like, okay, you're part of a guild and you're like, in general, you should be keeping.
I think what you're doing is kind of the thing, right? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm not necessarily thinking it's a bad thing. I'm just thinking it's an interesting road to go down. Of
what happens if you post it what happens if you post it in your guild chat?
What do you mean?
I mean, in the Discord bans your ass. Would you feel differently?
That would also be interesting. I think that. Yeah, like what if I don't know. It's just interesting to think about, right? Like, what if Discord become like if somehow there's a partnership with Blizzard where like they're flagging your accounts or like whatever, and Discord gets wind of that.
Yeah, I don't really worry about stuff like that.
The bench really can find a way to find a negative note on literally anything.
I'm not worried about this, and I think that the privacy concerns are a bit ill-founded. That like I'm reading people say them, but like. Be peaceful, I guess, is the only thing I would say to some of these fucking people.
I mean, for me, it's just don't be stupid.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want Blizzard to see what
the trade-off is worth it.
Well, I think that I do not want Blizzard to see what people or what myself or people in my guild post. I mean, this is opt-in, isn't this?
Yeah, exactly.
They're posting. Yeah.
Like, I think that's the point, right? Is that you are opting into sharing that data across Blizzard and Discord, and the benefit of it is probably outweighs what little downside there is.
Yeah. Okay. Last thing I had this week, it's something specific for Growl because I think that you would like this. I saw this tweet where somebody on Reddit built a WoW private server and then added 1,800 bots and AI chat via DeepSeek. And then it's like dead internet theory, but playable. An MMORPG with no real players, yet somehow it still feels human. This sounds like a conspiracy theory that you would make, by the way. Did Growl die?
Kind of feels like that. Well, shame he's missed the segment.
Yeah. The dead. We gotta let him come back. Dead internet theory. It's right up Growl's alley in terms of conspiracy. He brought this up on an episode a while ago. I can't remember what it was about though.
I don't remember.
I don't remember. All right, well, if he's dead, then we'll probably end it here. We've been going for 2 hours and 5 minutes, so I think.
No. Maybe give him a chance to come back.
Okay.
I have something to bring up.
Okay.
You know about their new world bosses, the layers? Their one boss raid.
Oh yeah, the fucking Dell world bosses.
The
yes.
instance. Yeah. So those are really interesting, by the way, because they have difficulties.
Yeah.
So world bosses are moving to an instance. They're 15 to 25 flex players, and it does look like this is flex mythic, because there's a mythic difficulty, and it drops myth loot.
I'm sorry. What?
Meaning, what we thought was an 8 boss tier is actually a 9 boss tier. And yes, that boss counts towards the vault. I checked.
It drops myth track loot.
So they hilariously underplayed and undervalued the impact of this boss. They said it was, oh, we're moving the world boss into an instance. I was like, okay, that's cool. Like, at least I won't lag when everybody's
That's
doing
what
world
I was
boss.
thinking.
Cool, no issue. You log on the PTR, you go to the thing, there's a drop-down menu and a summoning stone outside. You can zone in and choose your difficulty. LFR, normal, heroic, and mythic. Zorthus soloed the LFR version. Hilarious, by the way. That drops veteran loot. Pretty chill. Looked pretty chill. The mythic one looks to be, like I said, flex mythic, just like Rotmire. Drops myth 1 of 6 loot.
They definitely underplayed
So we
that
now
shit,
have a
by the
9th
way.
boss.
That is insane.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's called the Tidebond Grotto. Let's see here. Going to Mythic. Let's see what it has. It has 2-handed Agi Staff, a shield, an offhand, plate shoulders, cloth chest, mail wrists, mail hands.
The boss doesn't
cloth
rotate per week.
waist.
It's the same guy.
Nope, one boss.
Okay.
One boss. So it's basically just a Rotmire from the start of the season.
Is it guaranteed loot? Because world bosses lately have been guaranteed loot, but they've been guaranteed woo loot, right? Like that's been their bit.
It changed, I think. Zortha said in his. I'm back, by the way. My computer blew up. And I will not pass up my opportunity to talk about the dead internet theory. So
okay, I'm glad that you're back.
Okay.
Zortha said in his video that he killed it, that it dropped a normal, like the appropriate raid piece of loot, right?
Yeah,
that it wasn't woo or guaranteed or anything. Like it was.
So maybe it's guaranteed then.
Well,
which means
I don't know.
Nah,
I agree with what you're saying, that it's really funny the way they worded it, that they were putting it into an instance. But the way I sort of see it is they really like the implementation of both Chimeras and Flex Mythic, and they are going to plant these little boss seeds, quote unquote, that are just here, that you can enter them at any time with a flexible group of people and just do them, which I think is a really good step in the right direction for raids. Yeah.
Well, why don't they just come out and say, we're having a new boss every raid, or like every patch, that's going to be Flex Mythic? People would have gone crazy for that. Instead, they're like, we're moving the world boss into its own little thing, there's going to be difficulties, and you can do it with 15. Like, hello?
Yeah, they definitely
Generate
underplayed it a
some
little
fucking
bit.
hype.
Why did they underplay? I literally am like, wow, I'm not gonna lag anymore.
That was my thought. Like, when I'm flying to the zone, I'm not going to go crazy. I can actually do my dailies in peace.
Dude, I was just like, yeah, this is fine. It's no fucking world boss. Like, what do you mean? I'm doing it every week anyways for fucking loot. It was WoD that was like that. I'm pretty sure it was the last time that like world bosses were done because the loot was good on them. God, it's been so fucking long that I've done a world boss for gear.
Ibis. You did Ibis for gear.
Okay, not current gear.
2 Ibis throwbacks in one podcast.
I did Ibis for Dust. It was different. And then I didn't do Ibis for a couple of days. Okay.
But yeah, like looking. Okay.
So finish your thought. And then we'll
I
talk
was
about
gonna
dead
say the
internet
mechanics
theory.
look very real. There's like things to soak, ads to kill, like before they reach a certain spot. You have to soak a thing on the tank or something. Like, seems legit.
Oh, cool.
I think they hit a pretty good difficulty with Spore Walker Cho. I didn't really talk about this. because I was just sharing my experience with it initially, but from what I've heard, there are a very wide group of people. Like, there are some people like us who are like, oh yeah, it's so easy, we killed it in 3 pulls. But, you know, across the board, as you get, like, you know, into the people who are AOTC or like average, you know, casual pug players are being challenged by this boss, and, you know, they're joining groups that aren't so good and they're having to prog it. And it's like, that's exactly who that content is sort of for. And I think that's good. It does create a little bit of a funny problem where you have the like haves and have-nots that sort of like Chimeras has, where, okay, you get CE really fast, and then there are just these CE only groups of people who have killed it before, and then otherwise you're just like progging it with a full group of people, and like the more you wait in the season, the harder those groups are. But that's sort of how it has to be, and I think that's fine, although it can be a bit frustrating if you're somebody coming late into the season. But overall, I think this is a good thing for the game, and I think that when they introduced Chimeras as like a single boss raid at the beginning of the patch, I liked it, and I think that making it flex mythic where it can be 15 to 25 people is is essentially what it is, right? And I think that's a great improvement on the you know, new system that was already pretty well received.
I agree.
Oh yeah, and the AI
Go
video, that shit was crazy. The chat, by the way, is so funny. Reading the chat messages of like AI
chat's
trying
actually,
to
like,
interpret
Pretty fucking normal. Like, it's like a normal ass WoW chat.
Well, I mean, it was kind of normal. It's so. Do you know what the Turing test is? Are you familiar with that? It's basically like, you know that AI is real when it can convince you that it's not AI in a conversation, is essentially like the gist of it. Like, once AI can fool you with you not knowing if it's a human or AI, that is when AI is like whatever, you know, like real or whatever. And I don't know if like, we'll see, I guess, but there's just something that like rubs me the wrong way with the way that all this stuff is. But at the same time, I'm like, more and more, I don't know, maybe I'm just getting old, but I'm more and more feeling like sometimes people just act like AI or NPCs or whatever. Like, so I was at the random story, I was at the dentist today, and the entire counter at like the front counter where the lady does the paperwork or whatever is like completely empty, other than like, you know, the pens and the stuff ready to start. And then there's a webcam like all the way on the other side of the counter that's just plugged into her computer and then just runs all the way, and it's just staring right at the like the seating area, like the waiting room or whatever. And so I'm like, you know, trying to make conversation or whatever. I'm like, so what's the webcam for? And she says, for taking pictures. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm familiar with a camera. Like, that is what a camera does. Like, I say it jokingly or whatever, but like, the person was just so not present at all in my question and asking what it was for. Like, yes, I get it. It's a camera. It takes pictures. Pictures of what? Like, yeah. But I don't know.
What is the reason?
But my point is just like, maybe we're just slowly getting into this dead internet theory world where humans and AI are indistinguishable. But what's the funniest part about this though was I was wondering, I was looking at this thinking like, who the hell would ever want this? Like, who would want to play in this? And then like halfway down the comments, some guy was like, if they recreated Guild Wars 1 like this and I could play the game again, then I'm all for it. And Guild Wars 1 has a special place in my heart, and I'm just like, holy fuck.
I'm sorry,
is this what getting old is going to be, where we all just have an AI world created for whatever we want to do and whatever our greatest moments were in life, and we just sit there and pretend to live it? Like,
really cool, TBH. A lot of potential there for future implementation of MMOs. Yeah, 30 plus can finally raid again. Did the person who fucking post this, are they also a bot? Like, what the fuck is that response?
I hate that AI is getting so closer. The fact that like the fact that everything that you read now or see, you just have to question, like, is it real? It's actually so freaking interesting, like the innovation of the internet, how we've gone from like everybody being segregated in their own kind of communities and information not really traveling, to like the birth of the internet where everyone is suddenly connected and can share everything. And then pretty soon we're going to go back into the world where you can literally create anything and you have no idea what's real or what's not, and you just have to believe what you're told.